What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Pay-Per-Viewpoint edition of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. I am your host, as always, Tony Mango, and joining me, as always, is Robert DeFelice.
How you doing tonight, Tony?
We'll see.
All right.
And Drew White.
Guys, there's controversy within this chat. Rob's shoulders weren't down for the 3 count, so we got to restart.
Well, I mean, if tonight's going to prove anything to us, it means that it doesn't matter if your shoulders are down or not down. Things happen, and then you deal with it, and then you die. Or something, I don't know.
Did you guys know that Super Showdown is in 2 weeks, and it's possibly going to be bigger than WrestleMania?
Yeah.
Fun fact, did you know Drew McIntyre holds the longest appearance on the ladder matches now, surpassing Rob Van Dam?
That's
No,
not
I didn't
true.
know that.
That's just not true.
Yeah, that's what WWE Stats and Infos tweeted earlier.
Huh. Well, did
I'm
you
very
know that
not.
Drew McIntyre was also Drew Galloway?
I did not. Tell me more.
Well, what we were talking about here is Money in the Bank 2019. The pay-per-view just ended about, I don't know, was it half an hour ago or something like that. So we are going to talk about our first impressions, because we obviously didn't get enough chance to see this again, and our current thoughts about how things are going to be going in the future with this whole new regime and all these superstar shakeup things that are, I mean, essentially, look at it this way. They spent an entire month fucking around, actually more than a month. And this was their first test of seeing, like, whether they're staying power with some of their decisions. And everything was chaotic and all that anyway, so we don't really know how anything's going to go, but hey, we can do the best we can. So, I guess first thing I want to ask you guys is, just to clarify and everything, did you check out the kickoff, or was I the only one who bothered to watch it?
I did watch the kickoff.
I had it on. I went back and forth, but I saw most of the match. At least the main tag team match.
So, as far as, like, non-match kind of material for the kickoff, I only have a couple of notes here. I have written down that I really don't like how they have Lacey Evans cutting promos lately. She seems like she's really struggling, and this was like a pre-taped promo that she had done in the on the kickoff, and it was awful. It was just like slow and lumbering and trying to remember her lines, and none of the dialogue felt natural. And if they're going to keep pushing her like this going forward, I think that they really need to change that up.
I'm giving her a chance, but the bulk of her character right now, I don't know if it has staying power.
It really doesn't feel like it does.
It's just kind of perpetrating this mindset right now that they're going backwards, and she feels like a step back to the Divas era for some reason.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say match quality.
Well, yeah, match quality, she's got a better foundation than what they would have done 7 years ago or whatever. But as far as, like, simplicity of character and everything, it does kind of feel like they're very one note with her. It's like, all right, sassy Southern belle. Let's ignore all the other elements that she used to have, because she used to have, the Army, or was it Marines, or was it the Army?
Army, I believe.
So she had that kind of element to her, which was slightly different, and she could play babyface and she could play heel and whatever. Now it seems like they're very much just like, you are from the South.
And you think we're all slobs and nasties.
Yeah, I'm just not digging that. And I guess it's the typical thing where people are allowed to have more nuance in NXT, and you come to the main roster and it's like, you do powerbomb. And, that kind of shit. So it's
Is
just
that
like
a direct take on Lars Sullivan?
Yeah, it might be.
If I could defend Lacey Evans on anything, if they book her correctly, she can have a really good character. And she easily could be the most popular. I don't know about face, but she's an easy person to not like, and that's because they're pushing her down everyone's throat. But I don't know. I'm not so much on the hate train, because there's some elements to her, like whenever she, I don't know, like doesn't touch people's hands, instead touches it with a cloth instead. Like there's just small stuff like that I find interesting about that. But I don't know.
Well, let's be clear, I like her too. I was on this very show earlier in the year gushing about the idea of her as NXT Women's Champion, but for the main roster, it hasn't clicked.
She has a lot of potential that they haven't tapped into yet. And if this is going to be how they do all of her promos going forward, which they've done at least like 4 of these by now, so now it's not just like a one-off kind of promo for the pre-show. They haven't gotten any better. And this one being pre-taped, I kind of thought before maybe she was getting a little stage fright with the live crowd and everything like that. And now, all right, she just doesn't. And it's just not working.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
I'll tell you what is working, though. Kevin Owens calling Sarah Schreiber Renee.
I think that replacing the backstage interviewers has almost become a gag. You know, like Chris Jericho would call
Mike Roman, Tom Phillips.
Mike Roman, Tom Phillips. Yeah, everybody was Tom because they're all interchangeable. And even Dash Fuentes in a recent interview commented on the robotic nature of it because that's just who they are. Except for Charlie, for some reason. Charlie has found the key to genuine life and is allowed to be a person.
Good old Charles.
Good old Charles.
Listen, all the other backstage interviewers must really do something that Vince doesn't like if one person's allowed to do whatever they want and no one else. They must have a tick or something that really.
Maybe Charlie actually wears shoes during the interviews.
What?
You don't remember when they showed Renee Young a few years ago with Evolution, and Triple H just goes, "The real question here is, why don't you wear shoes when you do these interviews?" And the camera pans down, and she has no shoes on her feet.
I totally forgot about that. Oh. That was like one of the other things that I had written down. I also wrote down one other thing about the pre-show panel that I thought was kind of funny. It was Sonya Deville and Zelina Vega were kind of going back and forth, trading some verbal barbs. And Sonya had a quick little thing where she said, "Are you even in the division?" Which I was like, you know what, that's a good point. Is she really?
They went back and forth with a lot of quick barbs in front of the entire panel. So it's Coach, Beth, Sam Roberts, and Charlie just like trying to figure out what's happening, and I thought it was funny. I thought it might actually lead to a match. It seemed like it was going somewhere, but of course it's WWE, so it went nowhere. But I actually enjoyed this segment between the women.
Now, the match itself, we were supposed to have 2 matches. It was going to be the Cruiserweight title match that went later on in the show. Instead, we just had Bryan and Rowan against the Usos, which we were all confused about because it seemed like it was a title match, and then it turns out that it actually wasn't a title match. So, being non-title, it made it a lot easier for the Usos to get a win over them, and now they can continue to feud between the Raw and SmackDown events through the whole wild card rule and do all that kind of thing, but the only note that I wrote down for this entire thing was pretty good. That's all I wrote down for that.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I know a lot of people on the internet are not happy that Dana Bryan was on this show this match.
I'm one of them.
I know, and that's fine. I understand that. I personally, as Dana Bryan is my favorite wrestler, I get that, and I am mad about that too. But at the same time, I really doubt that he was supposed to come back this soon. I really think they just didn't know where to put him at on the card.
That's a lazy excuse.
I know it's a lazy excuse,
the
but
man
it's
was
WWE.
WWE champion just a month ago. The least you could have done is he's tag team champion. He's in a match with the tag team in your company. Put it on the main show. You chose today to not have the Cruiserweights on the pre-show when Tony Nese, who is a very bland champion, I'm sorry, and he's fighting Ariya Daivari, and you chose today to be like, well, I think that should be on the main card.
Yeah, it's really strange because they've had so many great matches that are completely overlooked from people because, let's face it, the pre-show is something that not everybody watches, and even if they do have it on, they could be like what Drew was doing, where you have it on in the background and you're getting your food order together, or you're going to the bathroom, or just fucking goofing around or whatever. And that's not the best place to get people to tune in to 205 Live. And out of all the matches, to be like, this one, we're going to pretty much like make it known that people can check it out.
Not like Buddy Murphy and Ali or some shit.
Yeah, like Buddy Murphy and Cedric Alexander put on some great matches. And Cedric had some great matches with Ali and some great matches with Drew Gulak and plenty of other people. Not even Neville versus Austin Aries could get like that kind of spot and everything. And it's just a weird choice. And when we got closer to the end of this whole pre-show, I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, are they just not doing this match? Did they cut it? And they got into it later on, and we'll talk about that later when we get into it. But the one and only match was just a non-title wild card rule type of thing. And for being like a nothing match, I liked it.
Obviously, I'm not going to hate it. It's Daniel Bryan and the Usos. And I even think Rowan. I walked away from this match, and one of my notes was, wow, Rowan would have made a great opponent for Hulk Hogan in the 80s.
Oh, he would have been fantastic. He's exactly what they would have gone for. He's giant, and he looks imposing, and he would lose.
You know, not many people will give Rowan the credit he does deserve, but he has slowly improved each year for the past, ever since he's been on the main roster. And he's one of my favorite big men they have in the company now.
Well, he's got to somehow reach that future legend status, right?
Exactly, I know. Well, he already did. He got the match with Rock at Mania. No one else could say that in the Fire family.
It's fucking sad.
It's so ridiculous. It's one of those footnote things that it's just kind of like, if I were still doing the Ask Him and just random trivia, like, I don't know, 20 years from now, be like, so who fought The Rock at WrestleMania, whatever, and people will be like, I don't remember him wrestling. And it's like, Eric fucking Rowan did. Then people go, like, his name was seconds? Eric Rowan? I thought it was just Rowan.
No, on his headstone, it's going to be, in memory of Rowan, the guy who fought Rock at Mania.
Yeah. Weird. But it was good. So the very first thing that happened after that was Naomi came out, and then they were like, hey, we're going to have Naomi do her entrance while we go to the actual like start of the pay-per-view. And then we had a tribute to Ashley Massaro, which we're going to talk about Ashley Massaro on the Hot Tags tomorrow night, so holding off on that a little bit, but that was nice to see. And that transitioned into giving out everybody's entrances for the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match to kick off the show. And that match was something that I didn't think was going to be bad in any means, but I had a little bit of reservations behind some of the people involved. You know, there's always the idea of like, I don't know what Dana Brooke is going to do or whatever, but I really liked this match a lot. This was one of my favorite matches of the whole night.
Best pay-per-view Money in the Bank women's match so far. I really enjoyed the one they did on that SmackDown, but this was easily the second best that they've ever done. I enjoyed Dana Brooke getting the Hope spot. Ember Moon did an eclipse from the top of a ladder outside of the ring to the inside of the ring, and I really thought they were going to give it to her at that moment. And
I still didn't.
Look, I
was like, oh, that's really cool, and she's going to get booted out of the ring in a minute.
Yeah. And then, of course, my pick was Mandy Rose, and I thought she had it because Sonya Deville is a very devoted friend. Get yourself a friend like Sonya Deville, who carried Mandy Rose up the ladder only to be pushed down by Bayley.
Well, the very first note that I had was Carmella's money gear looks so good on her.
Oh, yeah. I always say Carmella looks good, but the money outfit looks so fucking awesome on her.
It's a good looking outfit, and I mean, obviously she's a good looking girl and everything like that. So that was just kind of like, it was weird that like Naomi came out kind of just like Bumblebee a little bit.
Loved it.
DC character, and I was like, oh, that's cool. It's something different. You know, she's not just wearing like the glow in the dark outfit that she normally does. And I started to write that down as being like, hey, like she wins best outfit or whatever. Then Carmella came out with the money stuff, and I'm like, nope, Carmella wins. Just kind of like a little thumbs up there.
Next person that comes out immediately trumps.
Yeah. Carmella had a spot in here where her knee got like caught by the edge of the ladder or something, and I legitimately thought that she was injured.
So did I.
More than anything because of how Mandy Rose was continuing to try to do something with her, and she just yells to her, "Get away." And it wasn't in like the, get away, I'm like playing up this part. It was just sort of like, hey, fucking hold on. Like, that kind of thing. And I was like, all right, legit injured. That got messed up, and she's leaving because she asked to leave, you know? Did you guys buy into it, or did they get you too?
I 100% bought into it. I thought that she was injured, and that was going to be it for her for a while.
I only didn't because I'm so used to whenever someone used to have a match, I'm so used to going back down and finishing at some point. But the bump or the spot that it looked like she got injured, it was a little concerning. And after her interaction with Mandy Rose definitely had me worried because Carmella is always going to be one of my favorite female wrestlers, even though she's more of just a gimmick at this point. But I'm just glad that she was able to come back down and finish because her killing fucking Mandy Rose when she came back down was awesome.
Yeah, that was a cool little spot too, having her just be like limping down and be like, "Oh, okay, it's just a work," and I bought into it and everything. And she didn't sell getting pulled down by Sonya.
No, thank you. I'm glad you said that. She only sold walking. She did a fucking kick with her that injured leg, and no one sold it. It was like, oh yeah, and then she started walking. Barely walk.
Yeah, it's the whole like, my ankle, my ankle. Hold on, let me run here real quick. My ankle, like that kind of thing.
It's like at this point in 2019 in WWE, it's just nitpicking if we're going to complain about how they're going to sell injuries because no one really does for a whole match at this point.
Nah, believe me, there's other things to complain about more than that nitpick. Also, I wrote down Dana Brooke dangling. That was fun.
Yeah, I didn't think if I had to pick one of the women to do a Jeff Hardy dangling spot, it wouldn't have been Dana.
Yeah, I was actually really fucking concerned with her. But I'm just glad that it turned out well. At the beginning of this match for me was a little, I'm not going to say slow, but it definitely was kind of a clusterfuck in the beginning. And it felt like for the first few moves, they were taking their time and going through motions. And it only was very noticeable in the beginning. But after Ember Moon did her huge spot, I was kind of like, oh shit, this is actually incredible. So I agree with you. This is the best pay-per-view of Rob when you say this is the best pay-per-view money match for the women so far. And I'm just glad that no James Ellsworth ruined it for anyone too. And you know, it was good. It was good up until Brock Lesnar climbed the ladder. Oh, wrong match, but you
wrong ladder match. That's coming.
It's still worth saying.
So they got me, Mark DeFelis over here several times tonight. I'm going, all right, Sasha's coming now. Okay, no, Bayley actually won the ladder match. Okay, she's going to come now. Sasha never cared. Spoiler. But Bayley did win, and good for her. I didn't think that they were actually going to give it to her.
Yeah, I'm really glad that they went with that, because I had been writing up, obviously, plenty of different articles that are like, who's going to win? And like 5 different means and stuff, and it was like, it's either Mandy or Bayley, and between the two, Bayley has a lot more potential because she could cash in on Charlotte, she could cash in on Becky, she could cash in as a heel, as a babyface, she could do something with Sasha, she could do this, she could do that. Mandy, I was like,
as a heel?
She can cash in as a heel, she can cash in as an eel. She can cash in a house, she can cash in as a mouse. Something one fish two fish. There was also a great spot with Naomi. She did the splits to avoid getting crushed between the ladders. I like that spot. That was cool.
Yeah, that was very cool.
Yeah, she could do the splits. She could do the shits. We're gonna just keep the whole thing going.
Did she take a shit at some point in the ring, or
no? Maria Menounos wasn't in this match.
Well, Ariya wasn't as well, and neither was Punk. But
yeah, so Mandy Rose is getting all pushed up there from Sonya, and they have that real like saved spot with Bayley coming in, cashing in, or not cashing in at that point. She knocks her off, she wins the briefcase, and the crowd seems more into Bayley than they had been in months, which is really cool.
I'm glad you mentioned the crowd, because that, to me, is a huge high point of this show. The crowd was on fire. the entire night. They made it seem so special.
At least for the big moments. There was a couple instances when some of the lesser matches or just some of the duller moments, like especially with the Cruiserweight Championship where no one gave a fuck. But whenever there was like a huge moment, like especially later in the match, later in the night when it comes to like the women's championship matches and even the Universal WWE Championship match, everything seemed big, like you said.
So after this, we had Sami Zayn backstage talking to Triple H. He was basically just kind of saying, like, I'm nervous about what Braun Strowman's going to do to me. And Triple H was just kind of like, nerd, leave. That kind of thing. Like, that's essentially what it boiled down to.
Nerd.
Yeah, just tape up your fist, get the fuck out. That led to the United States Championship match, Samoa Joe against Rey Mysterio. And if you watched their match at WrestleMania and thought, man, that was underwhelming and short and didn't really amount to anything, what was happening? Yeah, that happened. It was underwhelming and short and really just confusing because somehow in the course of what was like, I don't know, it had to have been like a 5-minute match or something. It couldn't have been that long. Samoa Joe gets busted in the face.
Oh, dude, and it wasn't even 2 minutes long.
He's bleeding for like almost no reason. I don't know what got him to bleed. And out of a nowhere kind of pin and not like specifically a roll up out of nowhere kind of a thing. Okay, yeah, according to Wikipedia, it's 1 minute and 40 seconds. That's how long that was. Joe gets to win. Joe loses the title, and Rey Mysterio gets to win by pinning Samoa Joe when Samoa Joe's half of his fucking body is off of the mat. Yeah. And they're making this point to be like, I don't know, the shoulder looked like it was kind of up. And it's like, he doesn't even have one shoulder on the fucking mat. And this started something that happened 2 other times throughout the night. And I kind of want to address it here, but we'll talk about the other moments when it happened. What the fuck was up with the referees? Do you think that they planned this stuff out? Or was it just a matter of, like, was something in the water that made them forget how to do their jobs? Is this legit? Is it written?
I think people are scared now. That's what happened at Mania, but unfortunately, scared for all the fucking wrong reasons. And I don't even think this one is the more. I think the one that happened in the first women's championship match is way more fucking.
There's 3 of them that are really bad, I think, and I don't know if there was really any other ones because I kept focusing on those 3. But this one was bad. Like Joe is way up off that mat.
You could just look at the fucking faces of both Ray and you're like, what the fuck? And like even everyone in the crowd, this is one of those times where the crowd had no idea how to react to it because they were just it kind of got quiet and everyone was like, "Oh shit, did that really just happen?" Like everyone in the crowd could see that he had no shoulders on the ground, pretty much. That.
Yeah, I turned my head for a second and it was over. I thought it was just like a ha because of how quick WrestleMania was, but if you guys are saying that the referee screwed up, I'll take your word for it.
It's really bad. Like,
yeah,
it's really noticeably bad. Not the type of thing where it's like, oh, you can make the case that his shoulder was up at like a 2.5 count. It was like almost immediately when the count started, Joe was rolling around.
Yeah.
Really sloppy, poor execution, and even more so, it didn't even involve Dominic. So this feud has been going on for months now because they were feuding back when it was like Fatal 4-Ways and everything. And Joe and Mysterio didn't seem like they were heading toward a match with each other at WrestleMania to begin with, and it felt like it was just sort of like, well, this is something that's going on, we'll just kind of continue it. And now it seems like they're still just continuing it for the hell of continuing it. Nothing with Dominic happened. He wins the title in this weird flub kind of situation. And then afterward, it's like, well, I guess now I'm going to just beat you up and continue this feud. And Dominic's just kind of like, oh, come on, man, come on. And he's like, hey, fuck you, Dominic. You're not doing anything. So what was the point of building this all up, you know? Now it's just going to be, wait some more. That's the way that you get people to do this kind of whole fix the ratings thing, is to be like, remember how we teased you for this thing to be something 3 months ago? Well, you can wait some more, and something might happen. And if it does happen, it might be quick, and you know.
Would you say that this was a fucked up finish, and that finish wasn't supposed to happen there?
if it was supposed to happen, it was fucked up because it was so poorly done that it looks like it was a legitimate screw up, and not in the way of being like, sometimes like there's like ref bumps and there's instances where it's like, both the shoulders were down and the other person's shoulders were down too, and we're gonna make a story out of it or whatever. This just came off as like we didn't know how to. Oh, you know what it almost felt like? It almost felt like they didn't know that was going to be the end of the match, and the referee was like, where I was told to go home no matter what. And Joe forgot the rules of what being pinned means.
Gosh.
Like, this was just a complete mess. And if it would have been the one and only instance of a referee doing something stupid, then I would think that they wrote it and it just was pulled off poorly. But we had 2 other instances of that. And now I'm just thinking maybe the referees are dumb, or maybe there's somebody in WWE creative, and I hope this isn't the case, that was like, I don't know, how about we do like some stupid referee shit? That'll get people talking.
This match really was a thumbs fucking down because it makes you realize that they treat Samoa Joe so fucking poorly.
Mm-hmm.
They
really do.
Like, I love Rey Mysterio. I know you're not a big fan of Rey Mysterio. I always will. He was a part of my childhood. I think he's awesome still. I'm glad he won his first United States Championship, at least in WWE. I don't know if he ever won in WWE. I'm assuming not. But I just fucking hate that they mentioned it like twice before the match started, so I already knew that he was gonna win, and that really pissed me off.
And for the record, I've liked Mysterio so much more in this new run than what he was in like 2007 or whatever it was.
Look, Tony, when you kill someone, your life changes. Okay.
Ooh,
that's bad. Drew with the brutal cuts here, jeez. Yeah, so this is like, now we're gonna continue this feud going forward, but now it's like, ooh, Ray's got the title, and maybe next month they can do a 2.5 minute match, because I guess it seems like all we do is tack on an extra 30 seconds to it, and that's about it. But this was a fucking clusterfuck, and I hated it. And then we followed that up with a steel cage match between The Miz and Shane McMahon. And in this one, we have another dumb referee moment, which is Shane McMahon puts his foot on the ropes, and the referee's like, yeah, it broke the count. And thankfully, at the very least, Michael Cole's sitting there going, what the hell? That doesn't matter. It's a no DQ match. That shouldn't count, and whatever. And that made me think that one, maybe more than anything, would have been like the scripted type of thing. But I don't think that that's the case. I think that that's them just legitimately forgetting that is not how those things work. Because Shane McMahon's not a regular performer. He's going to be in situations that he just instinct of like a regular match and tries to apply it to other things. Yeah. I think that they just forgot.
So I'm going to say something that's going to sound like, well, what are you in AEW, Mark? But AEW is talking about sports-oriented presentations, and I'm wondering if they're like, hey, I know what's a sports-like move. We'll have the referees make dumb calls, and we'll stick to them because the referee's decision is final. Because I just watched the Rey Mysterio thing, and yeah, really bad.
Mm-hmm.
He was well up off the ground. With the Cole thing, at least, not the Cole thing, but with the Shane thing, at least, like you said, Michael Cole pointed it out. And I've seen them do that before, where it's like, okay, we're in a cage, but a rope break is a rope break. So they've made that exception before. So I wasn't like too thrown off by it. It all played into the story of Shane McMahon will get out of this match by the skin of his teeth and will win this cage match.
I liked the cage match other than that, and other than the finish to a certain extent. Because there were some parts in it that were really cool, like Shane being thrown off the top. Fuck that, man. Like, I wouldn't want to do that.
Well, he's probably the most risky fucking person in WWE. Just imagine if he was in a money.
Yeah, he tends to take these risks that are like, he doesn't need to.
Why hasn't he been in the Money in the Bank match? Here comes the money in the bank.
Well, he's the best in the world. Listen, the way that he's booked, I'm shocked that he hasn't have a champion right now. So,
Maybe because they would have had to change the lyrics and it would have been money, 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 money in the bank, in the bank.
oh, just imagine what's his face having to announce that as well as the best in the world thing.
I like that whole announcing thing, by the way.
Oh, Greg.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's cool.
Greg Hamilton's
Awesome.
great.
It's unfortunate it's with Shane. I wish it was with, an actual wrestler that I could get behind, but.
And I like this match, but it reminds me of the Miz's 2013 face run where he was just a bitch. And it's like babyface Miz is back to being a bitch.
I will say the only difference between like 2013 Miz and this Miz is that this Miz seems to like be a lot more aggressive as a face than that Miz. Maybe. Am I wrong by saying that? I feel that way.
No, I would agree with that. But another huge miss I have for this rivalry is they've made Shane way too competitive, which also makes Miz look like a bitch. Because heel Shane McMahon should not be so willing to beat Miz's ass. And he's gotten the better of Miz more often than not, which isn't the way I would think this should be booked. But, fantasy booking.
Yeah, you'd think that eventually someone would get the upper hand on their boss, but as we know, with most people not named McMahon, McMahon family, you don't get your comeuppance on like Stephanie. Maybe that's the same with Shane.
Well, I liked the action throughout this, and I liked some of the story that they were being putting out there, like the idea that like Miz was kind of dictating the pace of everything because he's the one who wants the revenge, but it ends with Shane slipping through and falling through, like Miz holding onto his shirt, and I like that finish, but I would have liked it more if I hadn't. And this is the type of thing that sometimes I hate about my job is you have to do so much research that you reference older things and that spoils things for you. And I can't remember what exactly the reference is, but you might be able to help me out with this, Rob. Bruce Pritchard was talking one time about why did so-and-so beat so-and-so, and he made this argument that the only reason why they did it was because they thought they needed the one person to not lose because they had this other match coming up. Do you remember which one I'm talking about? I can't
Specifically for a cage match?
Not a cage match. It might have been a cage match, but I don't think that it was. But I think it was like, I don't know, let's just say like...
Because this reminds me, with the way you described that, of, Brett not wanting to take the powerbomb.
No, it wasn't that one. It was something around like that 90s, early 2000s type of era or something like that, where, let's just say, and this is completely not true, but let's just say it was something like Kane needed to beat Austin because they had a match coming up between Kane and Undertaker, and it was the type of thing where people have said, like, why did this person win? It made no sense, and you buried the person by making them lose.
Oh, well, it wasn't Pritchard, but unless you're thinking of a specific Pritchard moment, but Triple H just said this when it came to the Sting thing, where he's like, listen...
Oh, that's right. That's what it was, because he was kind of reflecting on that, yeah. It was the whole idea of we were going to do The Rock and Triple H, so Triple H needed to beat Sting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was. My errors are all over the place. But Triple H and The Rock are in the 90s, so that makes sense. and Sting, for that matter.
The idea that, it looks worse now because plans changed with The Rock and we couldn't do what we wanted to do. But the idea was nobody was supposed to be the Authority until The Rock did.
Yeah, and then they just changed the plans, and then it became, well, fuck, who cares? Somebody just happened to do that, whatever. And I feel like this is exactly that scenario again, where somebody backstage, whether it was Vince McMahon or somebody on the creative team or, whoever it might be, I'm assuming that it's probably Vince because, the buck stops at him, says, well, we've got this feud between Shane McMahon and Roman Reigns, and that is our priority. And we can't have Shane McMahon lose to The Miz because then how is it going to be triumphant if Roman beats him? So let's just have Shane win. And then if anybody would have talked up about that and said, yeah, but The Miz just lost at WrestleMania. Why did we book him in this match if we're just putting Shane over again? and they would have been like, well, we don't fucking care. It's just The Miz. I feel like that's what it's going to be, and we're going to find out a week from now, a month from now, 2 years from now, whatever the case may be, that the only reason why Shane McMahon won was because they wanted him to look stronger so Roman Reigns could beat him.
This is why I don't try to book a year in advance for some stuff.
And
some stuff
really
shouldn't be booked like that, and it's if you go back to the World Cup, they did this tournament. And they had said all this other kind of stuff about, like, well, we're leading somewhere, and it's supposed to build into some plans for WrestleMania. And you'll see Survivor Series will really be the next step for this. And what was Survivor Series? It was SmackDown getting its ass whooped, and them doing the wrong information of the one match, and then just ignoring that. And then suddenly it became, yeah, we decided not to do the Survivor Series thing anyway, so we just did that for no reason. But it's going to lead, the World Cup thing's going to lead to something. I highly doubt when they were booking that in October, or September, or whatever the case may be, that they were looking at this going, you know what would be great? We can get Shane versus Miz at WrestleMania, and Shane can win, and then we can have a steel cage match and Money in the Bank, and Shane can win that, and then he can lose to Roman at whatever the Saudi Arabia show is going to be. You know, like, I don't think that is... If that was their plan, it's awful. And if that wasn't their plan, they need to start planning things. You know?
I don't know. I like heel Shane. I like heel Shane more than babyface Shane because I think, to me, heel Shane is doing more of his job right. But the fact that this is all leading for Roman to be triumphant over Shane... I'm going to say what Callum would say if he was here, and this is how you're going to get Roman booed again. It's just frustratingly repetitive.
Because why not, at the very least, and it's still Shane McMahon winning and still The Miz not getting his thing and whatever, but why not have, like, a spot where, to put a little bit more oomph onto Elias, maybe The Miz was about to win, and Elias comes down and hits him over the head with a guitar, and then that's how Shane McMahon wins, because Elias comes in, drags him in, and pulls him out. And then you can give a little bit more to Elias, who is an actual wrestler and needs it more, you know?
Or Lashley. They did that thing for a week, and then they dropped it.
Fuck, yeah, but Lashley, because that way Lashley's on Raw, and The Miz is on Raw, and you can start a feud between the two going forward. Why not?
You know, I was really disappointed when you brought up Lashley's name. I forgot he existed for short period.
How could you forget? He's going to be on the Super Showdown pay-per-view going against Braun Strowman. Did you know that pay-per-view is going to be bigger than WrestleMania?
Well, I did. Well, see, the issue is the only match I care about on that show is The Undertaker versus Goldberg, and that's because Brock Lesnar is going to cash in his money to be in that match. So, because it's the biggest show ever, because it's bigger than WrestleMania. So
you know what? I'm going to parlay that into this next thing that they announced, which was Mick Foley's gonna announce a new title tomorrow night on Raw.
Yeah.
Did you guys have the same reaction to me of, oh, look at that. They threw the dart and they hit the introduce a title thing.
Yes.
Which is like, come on, guys. Like, listen to the fans. If you're worried about why people aren't tuning in, you can't just throw out random gimmicks and make people change their mind. If people are... Because this hasn't been a 2-month thing. This has been a multiple year thing of people saying, I don't know, I'm getting kind of not into WWE as much. If it's the quality of the product that keeps going down, one little quick gimmick thing isn't going to change it all, and I feel like that's what they're doing. And at the same time, I'm sitting there going, well, I got to watch all this shit, so it'd be kind of cool if the hardcore title came back, because that's at least fun.
Well, Tony, you're wrong. It's going to be the light heavyweight title.
Yeah, gotta be the worst if they do that.
So I have 3 ideas in mind. One being just a hardcore title, which will have a 24/7 rule, and it'll be very fun because social media. Second, which I think is what's going to be, it's going to be called the Wild Card Championship, which will also have a 24/7 rule, but will have the distinction of being able to go between all 3 brands. So it'll be like an updated version of the hardcore title. And then, what?
I'm sorry. You by third brand, do you mean NXT as well, or
yeah, I mean NXT as well.
Okay, I just
for that matter, NXT UK or 205 Live.
Okay. And the third belt, which I hope they don't do, but I hearkened back to TNA, and I thought of the Legends Championship because
fuck.
Well,
they're
they need
doing
Booker T
so-
to do that.
well, they're doing Saudi Arabia, and they keep doing these legendary matches, and what better way to make it even bigger than WrestleMania by giving them their own championship, which will then be bigger than the World Championship.
Oh
or
my
the Universal.
god, I didn't even think about that, but
Listen.
that's so WWE to be like, let's have the WWE Hall of Fame championship or
Yes.
something.
Okay, I will buy into that 100% because in tennis and in golf, they have Legends tours and they have like all that other kind of stuff. Are you telling me do you not want to see Hulk Hogan fight, I don't know, like 80,000-year-old Bruno Sammartino if he's still alive, but he's probably dead?
Yeah, he's dead.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know he's dead. But I'm just saying that. Why not? I think it'll be cool. If listen, Sammartino could win that title and hold it for another 10 years, it'd be incredible.
His statue wins. It's just like they're gonna do that at this point. The
So-
statue championship. There you go.
I'm going with this, and we'll talk about it more on the hot tags, I'm sure. It's going to be called the Wild Card title. It'll go between all the brands, and the first champion will be crowned with the winner of the 50-man Battle Royal.
Well, I mean, that'd be cool if it's something like that, but it's so fucking pointless when it seems like all the titles are already going for both shows. You have Becky with both titles, both shows anyway.
Well,
I know
that's
she doesn't have both titles
this
now.
still have the 24/7 rule in effect.
So, would you make a man and a females one, or would you let it just be intergender?
I would totally let it be intergender, but
I
they're
think
not.
they should. They should at this point. But you know, when you have Lacey Evans taking us back to the Stone Age, the Divas.
You know what is kind of weird though, and I mean we are talking about this more than like pay-per-view related stuff because by the time we talk about it on the hot tags, they'll have already announced it. So hey, you're getting a little bonus hot tag sort of. They just introduced that wild card thing supposedly on a whim like that day, and if they got a championship that was like, we got a wild card championship and we're gonna do that, then the turnaround that they have for the championships like that means that there's absolutely no excuse why they haven't changed the Raw and SmackDown and Intercontinental and United States titles to have side plates.
I like.
Well, we'll see. I hope it's the hardcore title. I did just remember that tweet from WrestleMania that said, well, there's 2 new belts and one will make collectors very unhappy, but the fans very happy. Maybe that's whatever this is.
Yeah, and I thought that was just like, I don't know, like a different strap to something or whatever, but I guess maybe that's what it was. I don't know. It'd be really kind of strange if they have Mick Foley come out and he has no relation at all to the belt, and it's just kind of
it's
like
the European title.
yeah, it's like here's the Cruiserweight Tag Team Championship or something like that.
Here's
be
the
like,
Saudi Arabian Championship.
Oh god, don't tell me that they're gonna do that. They might do that too.
Listen, they
Well, but
brought
that-
the 10 people at the first show who are going to join at the Performance Center, Saudi Arabia, right?
And they gave a belt to Braun Strowman for winning the Greatest Royal Rumble. So they might have like the Saudi Arabian Championship or something like that.
You know, if they do this World Cup thing or the Worlds Collide thing, and you have like different shows based on different parts of the world, like it seems like they're gonna do eventually, I think that'd be cool. And if you have like a champion from each show and they compete and something like that, that'd be awesome. But I don't want to see Saudi Arabia with any championship unless.
Well, no, they wouldn't have Mick Foley present it. They would have the Prince present it, where he can like play peekaboo with Braun Strowman. Take the belt. No, I'm kidding. Take the belt.
Please, no, he wouldn't. He'd play with you.
Oh, that stuff is what we're gonna figure out tomorrow, unless they do that whole thing where they just want people to tune in the Raw, then they're like, yeah, we'll tell you next week or something like that. And if that's the case, then we'll be pissed. But
It's the soccer champion.
I'm gonna laugh if whatever title they introduce, if Lesnar comes out and just cashes in.
I'd rather that be the case. If we'll see. Backstage, we had a little thing with Braun Strowman. He seemed to have gotten to Sami Zayn, and he's all chained up and tied up, and Triple H is like, hey, get those cameras away from here, which is not the best thing to be doing all the time when you've got reasons for people to be filming stuff. But That led to the Cruiserweight Championship match that we were talking about earlier that wasn't on the kickoff. Tony Nese retains successfully against Ariya Daivari, who comes out dressed up and in a car like Alberto Del Rio for some reason.
I call them Iran Del Rio.
You from Iran?
Yeah, aren't they Iranian?
Sure. I don't know. I don't remember.
Well, I hope I'm not being insensitive.
He's from Minneapolis, but it's the same thing,
Yeah, it's the descent that matters, not the state.
Exactly.
Yeah, screw this match. It was boring and dull and stupid.
They tried hard, but nobody cares.
Sucks. Tony Nese fucking sucks. They need to get that belt off him.
No. Well, Tony Nese doesn't suck. Tony Nese as a babyface sucks.
Yeah,
it
he's
doesn't
Lex
work.
Luger. He shouldn't be a babyface. He should be a heel who loves himself, and that's it.
You're correct. I think that'd be a better way to put it. Daivari definitely doesn't hold up. I don't know. He wasn't too bad, but I definitely did not appreciate the car thing. No one in the crowd gave a shit as well that he came out in that car. That where he pulled in at, you probably could barely see because the way that they have those ramps set up, they have like curtains and shit there. I don't know how well I would have seen that piece of shit car because it was a good car, but it wasn't like a Del Rio or Eddie Guerrero car where you have to see it. It wasn't like Michael Cole was giving me every speck of what year it was, how much money.
Nigel McGuinness tried. Take it easy.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. Nigel McGuinness tried. Well, he's not Michael Cole, though, okay? He's not gushing over it.
Hey, Tony. Would you prefer to call Tony Nese the Tony package or the Nesicist?
I think I'd go the Nesicist.
And, yeah, sorry for every one of you that just cringed out there.
Well, I cringed, but it's okay.
Am I showing my age a little bit here, or like my disconnect with, I guess, modern pop culture or something and thinking this, but I feel like it's 2019. Does anybody give a shit if somebody would come out in a car that's nice?
If it's a Tesla.
If you're a heel. Yeah, if it was a Tesla, I would give a shit. I saw 2 today, actually, and I almost jizzed each time because I want one really bad.
But, like, would you boo somebody for having a nice car in their entrance like that? It's
If
just
they-
sort of, like...
You can't be shit about it, baby. If
Well,
they go, hey...
like, if they rev the engine like a dickhead, and, like, oh, look at me, I have a fucking fancy car. Yeah, that'd piss me off.
Look, I'd be pissed if they fucked up the car in the process. And if they were like, hey, Drew, you have a fucking hole in your sunroof and you have fucking trash bags and tape all over it, and your exhaust pipe is falling off and your car sounds like a piece of shit as well. Both of those are true. I would be really shitty if he did that. But he didn't. So I'm not as mad.
Instead, it's just like, I am supposed to be having lots of money, and look at my car, aren't you jealous? And it's like, no, I see people that have shit that I don't all the time.
I don't watch 205 Live. Is that a gimmick for him, that he has money?
I guess now it is.
It's always been kind of his gimmick ever since Enzo came around, and he started kind of like hanging around with him, and he became like Daivari De Niro or something like that. I forget what they were calling him, but he has basically been pushed off to the side that it doesn't matter anymore. And now that they're trying to bring it back again, it's just sort of like, all right, Del Rio did it, JBL did it, even though Ted DiBiase didn't have a car, it was like, well, Ted DiBiase was a better $1 Million Man. And now it's just sort of like, okay, dude, you got a car. I don't care. And I don't know. I feel like that's almost the same kind of thing as what like Kanellis is doing with like Maria, but to a like lesser extent, because they're not playing up the whole like, look at my super hot wife kind of thing. But they used to do that back in the day. I feel like this is just
because
they should.
Let's be real, Maria's super hot.
Yeah, but it's like that's old school to a point where I don't feel like it works anymore.
I can see that point, and above all else, I just think Daivari is a miss. Drew Gulak with the PowerPoint presentations was modern heel heat that worked and was funny.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
I love that so much. And that's where the difference comes in, because it's like, yeah, it's modern stuff. Some stuff with wrestling is like perpetual. It's always going to last. Like, you can have a guy come out and say, hey, the fucking Philadelphia Eagles, they're not going to win the Super Bowl. People will be like, whoa, fuck you, go Birds, that kind of thing. But some stuff just happens to change. And I feel like WWE's in a time frame, and maybe AEW can kind of show them this if they're willing to do it. But the way to get heat nowadays is to be controversial, just the same as it always has been. And if they're too worried about being controversial and they don't want to do anything that's going to actually get people to be like, oh, wow, I don't like this guy, then they can't get heat. So have somebody, instead of coming out with like, I've got a big fancy car and it's the same as what you could see on any car commercial or any rich housewives of,
or any Instagram.
Fucking whatever. Any Instagram of any douchebag who takes a picture next to her car and pretends like it's his or something.
You know what, though? You called him a douchebag. Maybe that is getting heat.
That's regular people, though. Daivari, it's like, oh, this is a gimmick. He doesn't really have that car. Like that kind of thing. And I would want Daivari to do something like to come out and they're not going to do this. Let me just admit it, but they're not going to do it. If he were to come out and be like, I supported that Alabama abortion law, then it would be like, oh my God, you fucking asshole. Like, that would be the way to do it.
I don't think they would have done that in the 80s, man. I think that's a little bit too far.
That's how you get the heat.
Pal. They would have absolutely done that in the 80s.
Well, yeah, that's fucking X-Pac heat if you want heat, man.
That's like JBL doing the Nazi salute type heat and stuff.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
what?
Actually, that is true.
Or
like when Jericho,
where
like,
JBL like kicked Mexicans over the border. Like this was
like his opening vignette.
Yeah, it was terrible.
I thought it was funny, but then again, it's a completely different time, and it's honestly really fucking shocking with everything going on right now and politics, especially with everything going on at the border, that they haven't been doing that. I would love if Zep Coulter came back and started up the Real Americans again. People might hate it. I would love it, but I don't know.
It just seems weird that in an era where you can say and do literally anything and you're going to upset people, that WWE can't find a way to upset people other than like just by not being entertaining or something.
Like philanthropy is the new marketing, and they're so focused on being a publicly traded company that does good. I mean, since you were going to bring it up, let's talk about it. Let's talk about, the Lars Sullivan thing. You have people going directly to sponsors for something Lars Sullivan said 10 years ago almost. Oh. You have people tweeting WWE and Bray Wyatt that, congratulations, you lost a fan because you scared the shit out of my child.
Good. Your kid shouldn't be watching that shit if that's the case.
Exactly. It's no, motherfucker, I did my job. Like,
if I were a little bit younger, I would have been petrified of Kane.
Would have probably scared the shit out of me if I was like 5-6 years old and I saw that Bray Wyatt mask.
Yeah, that's the point, and that's why that Bray Wyatt mask is like, even though the gimmick is making me go, fuck, they're just making him be Bray Wyatt again. At least this like Mr. Rogers thing was something different.
Did you see the new shirt?
Yeah, the shirt is terrible.
No, I didn't see it yet.
It's like a cartoon.
It's a what?
It's like a picture of him and what he wears during the Firefly segment, and he has a chainsaw on his hand. And I forget what it says, but
probably Yowie Wowie.
No, it's something else.
By the way, there was a Yowie Wowie chant.
Yowie Wowie. Okay, that needs to get over it.
It will.
Incredible.
It will. As soon as Bray comes back, there's going to be Yowie Wowie up the ass.
Yeah.
Back to this match. I'm not one to complain about younger Daivari brother, but the older Daivari was way better. And it's hard to take one seriously to be rich if his older fucking brother is Daivari, and some people like that. Look, I'm not saying
I'm rich and I got this car, and you're like, yeah, and you also have Daivari as your brother.
Look, you might be rich, but your brother one time prayed that for a bunch of people to come out and try to kill the Undertaker. So you might want to watch your step, hombre.
Well, the Cruiserweight title match was just sort of one of those things that it didn't, I'm sure, get any more people to watch 205 Live, and that's a shame, because 205 Live has a lot of really, really good performers that just do a hell of a great job, and nobody sees it. So, that sucks, and hopefully something changes with that, but put the belt on Drew Gulak, and maybe it will. That led to a backstage segment with Triple H talking to Braun Strowman, and he was like, yo, dude, what'd you do with Sami Zayn? That's not cool. And Strowman essentially was like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So then he told him to leave, and that sowed this whole idea of, somebody else attacked Sami Zayn. Oh, somebody else is going to come into the match, and what's it going to be, and whatever. So at least good storytelling of, like, drop a little hint, move the story along, kind of keep this going a little bit there, a little bit there. I like that they were doing that.
Odd choice. It was Paul Heyman who did it.
Yeah, that's another story.
We're gonna get there.
So I want to talk about the next things in one big giant chunk, which was, and I'm just gonna throw it out there, Becky Lynch defeats Lacey Evans, retains the Raw Women's Championship. She goes straight into the next match with Charlotte Flair, who is able to actually win the title from her, becomes the new SmackDown Women's Champion through some help from Lacey Evans. And then after that, Bayley comes out, cashes in, beats Charlotte Flair, wins the title. And now we're looking at a situation where Becky Two Belts is going into the pay-per-view, and we had 2 title changes over the course of like a half an hour or so. And that's what we're working with here. Needed to get that out of the way. Just backtrack a little bit now. Becky versus Lacey. I have a note that says, what the fuck is Lacey Evans wearing? It's equal parts confusing, hideous, and sexy.
Like, are you talking about like with her leg?
Well, she had like that weird ass hat on, and like the, I don't know, was it stirrups or something? What the hell are they called? With like the guns and the holsters like shooting out money with her face on it. I was just like, this is like 8 ideas mixed in.
It was like, geez, she was getting her ideas from like JBL and like everyone else.
She's part JBL and she's part smoking guns. And
so like, is she like rich? Shouldn't she have came out in the super cool car?
Did she? Yeah. Did she just like sell that car to Daivari, and that's why she's got all that cash?
yeah. Daivari just gave him the cash with all of her face on.
I really don't understand what it was, because I said equal parts hideous, confusing, and sexy. It was hideous as far as like the hat goes. It was sexy because she's just a good-looking woman and everything, and confusing because I was like, wait, she's got that cowboy hat looking thing, and she's a cowboy, but she's this sassy Southern belle in the military who's from like the 20s era with like her gear, and I was just like, I don't fucking get it. Like, I'm sure somebody's going to write up something about how great that was with like some modern fashion bullshit or whatever, but I don't know if I should put that down as like the best ring attire of the year or the worst.
It's neither for me, honestly. I don't know. Green didn't really suit her too well. I understand that she was probably going with the gimmick or theme of it's being Money in the Bank, but definitely was not a big fan of green on her. If I had to pick something, I guess. The hat thing didn't really bug me too much. I just assumed it was like all the other stupid fucking hats she wears. Just a little bigger.
I'm kind of indifferent towards this. I thought the entrance was cool. The match was okay. And Becky won, which I wasn't surprised by at all.
Glad she won. I would have been really pissed if she lost that.
I have a huge issue with the Charlotte Flair match.
Oh, I have a bigger issue with that.
Before we get into that, let's talk about the other referee spot, because Becky Lynch's shoulders are clearly down. The complete opposite of the Samoa Joe situation. And the referee stares going like, huh.
It's like running in a circle.
Yeah, it's like, I think I should be doing some kind of a job here, but
he's acting like he's trying to like get around to see the shoulders on the ground, but I don't know.
Were his eyes closed? Was he like this was like the legitimate error, or like that's the whole confusion? But it's like, did they want this to be a scenario where the referee was not paying attention and Lacey Evans can say your shoulders were down? Well, then why do that 3 times throughout the same night? Like, I don't get it.
That's not even the most egregious part of that. The most egregious part is right before that. She like hurts her knee, and what leads to that like roll up, which leads to Becky countering it to her submission finisher, and she taps fucking immediately. Not even within like a split second.
Good, because she's a lady and she's gonna break easily.
Look, I know we talked about what they were wearing, but honestly, I don't like what Becky wears ever. So at least she has that going for her. But I'm really happy Becky won, even if it was kind of weird.
Yeah, I like Lacey Evans, but I don't like the idea that you can just give people championships when they haven't done anything yet.
Stupid.
Because sometimes it works out, I'll admit. Once in a while, you can give a title to somebody on their first night or something, and they'll be perfectly fine. But more often than not, that just sets this bar that they're never able to reach again. And I'm glad that Lacey Evans lost, because now she doesn't have to be undefeated. She doesn't have to be the figurehead of Monday Night Raw, and she can work her way up to the spot of getting back to that again. Like, she really should have. She should have had her feud with Natalya that they were thinking about doing, and worked her way and had a match at, like, I don't know, Extreme Rules or something like that. Like, then it could have worked.
I think what really fucking sucks about the Lacey Evans character is we wasted like 2 months of her walking to the ring and doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And that entire time, they could have just been building her up with matches, because she's not a bad wrestler. She's good.
Yeah.
She can do some things. I mean, she's not like a Charlotte. She's not like a Becky, and she's not like some of the top tier. But fuck me, she's at least a Naomi. Come on. Just let her do shit.
She's a lady. She doesn't need to. She's cleaning bathrooms. Well, that sounded bad. No,
they actually did a thing with her cleaning bathrooms. That's if anybody that's curious, it's not a.
Bathrooms. I'm not saying women should be cleaning bathrooms. No.
He's showing his true color, guys. Don't worry.
I did like in the match when she took like the hanky and she just like wiped her armpits, then shoved it in Becky's mouth.
Oh, it's weird. Well, she had it down her crotch first, and when Renee was going ew, I was like, oh yeah, she was like touching her vagina first, touching her armpits, then throwing it in Becky's mouth. Which, by the way, I know the Sacco thing with Mick Foley was, he never got disqualified for that for the most part, but shouldn't someone be putting a foreign object in someone else's mouth result in a disqualification?
Not with these fucking refs.
I know.
Not when it's a crunchy sock either.
Oh yeah. Well, this isn't a crunchy sock. This is just it just kind of smells like fish napkin because it was somewhere.
Well, that led to Charlotte coming out. She does the whole thing, whatever, and we get the Flair and Lynch match, and Evans makes a little bit of a return to help out Charlotte Flair, and Charlotte completely whiffs her kick.
Okay, so this is my whole fucking issue with the match. Outside of, wow, they really made Charlotte a 9-time champion just to get her to beat her dad's record, not being facetious or mean, but apparently they want this to happen while Ric Flair is still alive to see it, because they are just skyrocketing this Charlotte Flair title reign thing. But Becky should have kicked out because she completely fucking missed the kick. And it's not that hard to do. Kick out, lock in the figure 8 or something, and you can figure out another way. You have like 5 finishers, Charlotte. But to end the match on a kick that was so clearly missed is wrong.
She could have ended it with a fucking spear for all I care. She has the best spear in WWE.
Well, she's got the natural selection that would have worked perfectly well after that.
The natural selection, the spear, the figure 8, and...
Figure 8, I would argue that they wouldn't do that because they wouldn't want Becky to tap, but she's got 2 other ways to pin.
Does she have an arm submission? Because Lacey was working her right arm the entire match. I was shocked that they didn't try to play that into the second match at all.
No, but she could have even just hit her with another boot. Just why pin her on a move that looked so bad? Maybe heat of the moment, you don't realize.
Yeah, they probably just thought that nobody could see that angle. But yeah. it was directly there. And of course, you know that they're not going to show you any of that angle going forward because why would they? So we're going to see like that like still footage kind of thing where it's exactly like, she's getting ready to kick and then it's like, oh my God, she just, whatever like that. And it's stupid. I mean, look, mistakes happen. I certainly couldn't do any of the things that these people do. And I'm not blaming like Flair and being like, well, she ruined the whole Money in the Bank or something like that. It's like, no, these things happen. But at the same time, when you have other instances of things happening like that, it stands out as just being like, oh, totally missed that.
But onto the Bayley thing, the crowd was so hot for this.
Yeah.
Like cash-in moments are so cool because the people just, it doesn't matter if it's night number 1 or, night number 365, but when that cash-in is coming, the place just blows, and Bayley actually won the SmackDown title, and it was just a nice moment. And again, this is like the 3rd time in the night where I go, all right, and Sasha's gonna screw her over now. And no, Bayley just won. I'm officially like entering Punk territory with Sasha, even though we didn't talk about this when Bayley won the briefcase. They made a point to bring up Sasha Banks' name like 4 times in a minute with that post-ladder match interview. And they even bothered to say, Sasha has remained on Raw, and you've moved over to SmackDown.
I think it's just to the sole point. If something did happen and she does come back to WWE, they can continue with her being on Raw. I think it would feel at least somewhat weird if they didn't bring her up at least once during it. But I personally thought that they were just fucking with Sasha by having all 3 other horsewomen holding the title tonight at some point.
Like, they almost like they bring her up to be like, Sasha remains on Raw, she remains at home. And tonight, you've won the Money in the Bank, and later on, you're going to win the title like the other 2, Sasha. Like, you know, that kind of thing, where they just kind of like mutter that under their breath. So, Bayley, would you like to tell us how great it is to work in this company when you don't stay home instead and whatever? You got this briefcase, pretty sweet. Like,
Isn't it great when someone is holding you back in a tag team division who doesn't want to be here all the time, Bayley?
Yeah, that'd be great if they would have said something like that. That would have been amazing. And it would have been Charlie would have been the only one that would have been able to do it because everybody else is just like,
but they don't wear shoes, Tony.
Roman. No, the shoes are, you know, that's what makes all the difference.
What if Todd Phillips didn't wear shoes backstage? That'd be fucked
up. After that whole shenanigans of Bayley coming out as the champion and everything, that's all out of the way. We get a backstage segment where Elias hits Roman Reigns with a guitar, and this leads to Roman Reigns coming out doing his Elias coming out doing his whole singing kind of shtick. Roman Reigns comes out, hits him with a Superman punch and a spear and a pinfall at the end. It was 20 seconds long.
Yeah.
I think. Or no, 10 seconds. I'm looking at the wrong thing. 10-second match because we needed to make room for something that happened a little bit later on that we're going to bitch about. But
disappointing, but not surprised that it happened. Capacity in this exact way.
I hate to bring up the whole, like, remember how everybody hated Roman thing? But yeah, this is the type of stuff that's going to get Roman Reigns booed again. They're going to do this exactly the way that they had done these kind of things before, and Elias is popular, so let's have him come out and do this kind of thing and get 2-shotted and lose, because all we really care about is we had that Roman Reigns victory over Elias thing. That's a shame.
You know what they should fucking do? They should have Elias win the IC title and break Honky Tonk's fucking record for the longest reign. And he could play the guitar the entire time and be better at it too.
I just think that if you had that other segment that's happening 2 matches after or a match after this one, it's like, couldn't you just made this like at least a 5-minute match?
I just hate how they shit on Elias when it comes to big. But this is a big match for him. He's facing Roman Reigns. He is the biggest guy, not named Brock Lesnar, in the company. And of course, he gets squashed out, even though he gets to say, "Oh, I hit him in the back with a fucking guitar backstage. Oh, I'm so good. That means so much." But it just sucks because the only time Elias gets any time to shine is when it's the greatest Royal Rumble, which only takes place in Saudi Arabia, or other Royal Rumble matches where they give him a plenty amount of time to shine. But it just sucks when it comes to these matches where if he wins, like a win against Roman Reigns, regardless if it's through cheap tactics, if you win, the fucking win against him at this point, which is a big deal. I just want something show that they care about him, other than they will waste WrestleMania time on him playing a guitar or doing segments like these every week, because these are going to get old after a while.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, I really like Elias, and I like Roman Reigns too. Don't forget about the whole thing that, like, yeah, I've always been kind of a fan of him and stuff.
Oh, I am too, but you know.
Elias is like the type of guy that I never feel like he can ever win anything, because they really seem to only value him as a promo guy. And if that's the case, then just make him a fucking manager. If you're never going to have him wrestle to, like, mean anything, then I'm never going to, oh, he's in the Elimination Chamber. All right, well, he's going to lose. Or he's in the Royal Rumble. Nope, not a chance. Not in my top 20 to potentially win. Or he's fighting for the Intercontinental title. All right, well, Finn Balor is going to beat him. It's just like, Elias can't do anything unless it's to get interrupted and to do that. And that's a shame. Not that he should have won this match, too. That's not also another thing. I don't think that he should have won this. But at the same time, this was literally a guitar shot, a promo, a punch, and a spear.
And that's all you need.
It was a Monday Night Raw segment.
Look, Tony, Roman Reigns is recovering from cancer. He can't fight long matches.
He should be able to.
Yeah, asshole. I just fucking wish Elias would win a goddamn match at a pay-per-view that actually matters.
By the way, I realized I said this was a Monday Night Raw segment and both guys are on SmackDown, but hey, wild card rule. Doesn't matter.
But look,
Yeah,
they both
up yours, logic.
Yeah. It's more logic than some of these things. But thankfully, as much as that was just kind of like, all right, that happened, we ended up getting the Universal Championship match between Seth Rollins and AJ Styles. And no surprises here. Good fucking match.
I'm going to disagree with you right there. That was a surprise because I'm so used to AJ Styles' first matches kind of sucking that I was so pleasantly surprised with this match.
It's funny you brought up the whole his first matches usually suck. I would never say. I know what you mean. Usually his first match in a series with someone, they're slower paced. I remember the first John Cena match they had at SummerSlam, I believe.
It was Money
First
in the
time they
Bank.
fought, or Money in the Bank. I apologize, and that one was kind of a very slow match as well. So, but I'm really happy this match turned out well. In my opinion, it's the best Universal title match for that title at least. And honestly, unless you have,
No, I'm actually thinking about it. He might be right. That might be the best Universal title match to date.
and
look at who's held the title the most of the time.
I know.
I mean, we're going to talk about this later, but you keep putting it on somebody who doesn't wrestle a fucking good match, and you do it for 4 fucking years in a row, then that's what you get, and that's what you're going to get with the WWE Championship. Just saying.
That's not confirmed yet.
Well, I'll buy the gun and the bullets, and I'll aim it at my head, and we'll see what happens.
if Paul Heyman cashes in that title and beats Kofi, then I'm going to fucking flip shit, Tony.
So I like this Styles and Rollins match, and I really liked how they ended it with the handshake to reiterate that Styles is still a babyface, because I know that some people, everybody goes nuts with the whole heel and face turn thing, and everybody's always like, hey, Styles said, I like you instead of I love you. That means you turn heel, like that thing. But I did not want Styles turning heel. And now that they reiterated that, they did the handshake and all that, going forward, we can have Styles against, I don't know, Bobby Lashley, against Baron Corbin, against Drew McIntyre, Sami Zayn, like all these different heels that are on that brand, which are much more interesting matches to me than if he were to have turned heel and it would have been him against Braun Strowman or him against Rollins 6 more times or something. But I am interested in seeing another match between these two.
Yes. Well, yeah, I'm just glad that it actually lived up to its hype instead of, being a dud.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just glad that AJ Styles was talking about, I've been waiting, Seth Rollins has been talking about waiting 15 years for this moment. It didn't suck, I mean, if I ever got a chance to fight AJ Styles and it sucked, I'd be sad. But, good for him. Glad he still is the champion. It's weird thinking that this is only his 3rd World Heavyweight Championship reign on the main roster.
Second.
But, well, no, he held it for like 2 seconds in between Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns.
Yeah, okay, I guess.
If you don't want to count it, I understand. Those 10-second Money in the Bank reigns don't count, but
his 3rd reign, his 2nd run, essentially.
Yeah, his 2nd run with the belt. Hopefully, I mean, I really hope he gets a good run that he can be in on the actual term that isn't due to an injury or cash in. I know Lesnar holds. I shouldn't talk about that yet, but it's just annoying.
Well, this is an event that had up and down for me, and just to kind of reiterate, it was like, hey, the Usos match was like pretty good, and then wait, they're not having the Cruiserweight match, and then hey, women's title match, women's ladder match, that's great. Joe Mysterio, oh, that sucked. And then the steel cage, oh, that sucked. And then the Cruiserweight, oh, that wasn't as good as I was hoping for it to be. And I'm riding that kind of valley. Then we get that bump up with the whole women's title situation and the cash in and all that. We go back down with the Roman Reigns Elias thing. We go back up with the Rollins and Styles. And then we get the Lucha House Party comes out.
Yes.
And I'm immediately going, and I was talking to Rob at the time. I was saying, man, there's so much shit going on for this pay-per-view that I'm writing up my highlights and low points thing on Bleacher Report, and I don't have the time to, like, sort out the highlights and the low points. And I'm not, like, I was planning on writing, like, oh, low point was that the Lacey Evans thing with the referee was whatever. And then, oh, hey, highlight was the Charlotte Flair, like, won the title and whatever. Let me merge them all together. And Lucha House Party comes out, and Rob's like, oh, here you go. You got a low point coming up. And it's like, yep, that's indeed true, because they do this stupid, awkward promo where Lindsay Dorado is, like, struggling to kind of give the other idea of, like, the rest of it to Kalisto to finish. Which I always want Kalisto to finish everything with good lucha thing. Damn it. Because that would be so great if he did that for every single thing.
Yes.
And they kind of struggle. They get through it haphazardly. And it's just building up to Lars Sullivan beating the shit out of them. And Lars Sullivan beats the shit out of them. He does the power bomb in the corner, and that's fucking it. Somehow he ends up bleeding. I don't know what the hell that happened. But
that was a very intense headbutt.
yeah. So that's like, you know, I'm over Sullivan. I've been over Sullivan for a long time, and I feel like even though I'm representing this as I don't care, I feel like almost anybody at this point, you either care or you don't by now. I don't think that Lars Sullivan beating up the Lucha House Party on this pay-per-view is going to win anybody over that hasn't already been won over.
He looks like a generic heel fucking video game. There's nothing special about him. And he has panic attacks. Fuck him.
He's also a great opponent for Hulk Hogan in the 80s.
Yeah, he would be. He'd be the perfect one. You know, the type of language he probably would like to use would be more accepted then as well. So he'd probably be a better fit in the 80s.
But he would have had some kind of, like, personality to him, though. He wouldn't have just been Lars Sullivan. He would have been, like, the Wrecker Lars Sullivan.
No,
and he would have been
the Freak, but he would have just been the Freak. He wouldn't have been Lars Sullivan.
Freak Lars.
He would have just been the Freak.
Ooh, from Mars. The Freak.
Lars from Mars.
Freak Lars from Mars.
I don't know. The crowd didn't give a shit about this, which I understand. It's fucking Lars Sullivan. And with everything that's came out about him recently, I know a lot of people don't care for the guy now. And that sucks on his part because it kind of ruined whatever momentum he did have. But fuck me, dude. If the crowd didn't give a shit about this, fucking cut it. He's not worth it. It's not worth it to have him go out there and get no reaction for beating up 3 people. It's not worth it. Ryback was cool when he did it. Other people were cool when they did it. Not Lars. He looks like a fucking loser.
Because Ryback was doing something that was, like, slightly different. He was doing the babyface version of that.
And they don't up 2 guys at once to do it.
Yeah, he's picking up 2 guys at once. He's getting the crowd involved on his side instead of doing the whole, like, you should be intimidated by this and be like, all right, well, we've seen this over and over and over again. And I'm really curious if anybody listening, remember, drop a comment below and tell us what you're thinking through all these things as well. But head on over to Facebook, head on over to Twitter, over to both of them are at Smark Moment. There you go. I'm getting plugs out of the way. Follow us while we're over there. But go on the YouTube page right now, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment below, and tell me, do you really honestly feel excited for Lars Sullivan to lose to Roman Reigns?
Damn it. You see,
like, is that really something that, because you know that's got to be what they're thinking.
But
they have to be thinking
single-handedly ruined the Lars Sullivan experiment for me, because you just perfectly compared him to Vladimir Kozlov, and I'm like, yeah, that's all it is.
He's Vladimir Kozlov, and Vladimir Kozlov was built up to lose to, like, Triple H and a couple other people that were like that, and then he lost, and then he didn't matter, because all he was the pet project that beats people until he gets beaten. It happened with Rusev, it happened with, I don't know, King Kong Bundy, it happened with, you know...
For you. Umaga being fed to John Cena.
Umaga was fed to John Cena. Great Khali was fed to John Cena. All these people, they build them up and they do the same exact thing. So once you've watched wrestling for more than 2 years, you know exactly where it's going. And you know that this isn't leading to Lars Sullivan challenging Kofi Kingston for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania next year and Kofi beating him. It's not happening.
That would be a great storyline.
It's going to be Lars Sullivan
I see.
beating people up for the next 2 months at the very least, and probably fighting Roman Reigns at WrestleMania next year if it isn't somebody else, and we'll get about that a little bit. But he's being built up to lose to Roman Reigns, and that is the type of thing that they've done for over a decade now that people don't like. So you're not going to win people over with that. And then once Lars Sullivan loses to Roman Reigns, it's not going to make Roman any better. It's not going to make Lars Sullivan anything. And we're going to have wasted an entire year just to build up to, oh, okay, well, Roman's going to beat him. Like, does anybody listening really legitimately feel like that is worth spending many, many months leading to? The match may be good, and maybe that's what you're looking forward to, but I mean story-wise. Are you invested in that? And if you're not, tell us why in the comments below. If you are, please explain why, because I feel like even putting my own opinion to the side and trying to look at this as like, well, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of, I don't know, who's somebody on the roster that I'm not a big fan of?
Dana Brooke.
Yeah, Dana Brooke. Like, I think that she might be better off if she kind of left wrestling. I don't think it's for her. She did a good job tonight. And there's people that can get invested in her as, like, an underdog. So you know what? Give Dana a little bit of a push and have her feud with Lacey Evans and put Lacey Evans over. Do something like that, you know? I can set aside my opinion and kind of go with what I think maybe other people are going to think. And I just can't think that there's anybody out there other than maybe somebody who's 3 years old or 8 years old or whatever, and they haven't watched this enough where they don't know exactly what's going to happen. I just don't think anybody's going to be interested. There's going to be a couple 10-year-old kids that just started watching wrestling at, like, SummerSlam last year, and when Sullivan fights Roman Reigns, they're going to be like, oh, I don't know, Roman Reigns can't beat him. Do you really want to appeal to just that market and nobody else?
Hey, there's a market out there who appreciates, I don't know, Lars Sullivan for the person he is, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, then they're going to cheer for them, though.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Look, at the end of the day, he's a guy, and this wasn't even a match, obviously, but I'm just glad that he got over his fear of panic attacks and he's able to get out there and do what he loves so much with the people he obviously loves so much, you know? I'm glad that there wasn't a wall that wasn't able to separate them from getting in the ring with him today. You know, maybe he'll be lucky enough that maybe, I don't know, maybe there'll be some people that come over on boats or something like that to wrestle him as well from a different part of the world if he so wants it.
I love, by the way, that you said his fear of panic attacks, which makes it seem like he's sitting backstage going, oh my God, what if I have a panic attack? Ah, I'm afraid. That's like having a fear of agoraphobia and being like, you know, I can go outside, but I'm afraid that I might not want to.
Look, I'm just happy that anything can happen to him. Anything happened to him at this point. So
the point is, I'm over the Sullivan thing. I'm over the Lucha House Party thing. I'm over the good Lucha thing.
You can't get over the good Lucha thing.
Well, but I am, though, because he hasn't done a good Lucha thing in so long.
Well, that's because they're not giving him a good Lucha thing. They're fucking feeding him to the guy who hates him.
But, well, like, fuck, at least there's something there, as opposed to, like, you know why they put us together? Because we're Mexican. You know what we have? Piñatas. You know what we're going to make that guy go through for something he said 10 years ago? Sensitivity training.
Look, I know that.
Imagine why.
I know the two, like, I know Kairi Sane and Asuka aren't on this show, but I don't get why people get shitty about those two doing what they're doing. And then.
That's complete bullshit. That's neither here nor there, and I don't want to drag this down too much, but
yeah,
the people complaining about the Kabuki Warriors need to grow up.
Yeah. Come on, dude. It's like, who cares about people? That's their heritage. That's where they're from, you know? I bet they want to do that more so than anything. I doubt they want to dress as fucking Americans. That'd probably suck.
You know, it would be really bad if they made them dress like that, and instead of calling them the American Warriors, they call them the Kabuki Americans.
Well, I think if they were if they were gonna dress like Americans, they'd become the American Ninja Warriors, but they don't own that trademark.
And then you'd have to throw Casey in there.
Absolutely, and I think they would.
If they were just Americans, they'd wear Crocs or something like that when they wrestle.
So that's another low point, is you're going to the Lars Sullivan thing, and I'm like, man. But then we get the Kofi Kingston Kevin Owens match, and I'm like, I fucking like this match. Good match with a lot of energy behind it is what I wrote down on my notes about the review section. I thought that they had a lot of intensity. They took me by surprise by not having Xavier Woods or Big E show up in any capacity until after the match was over, and Kofi just gets a straight up win, which makes him seem that much better as a champion.
Absolutely. I liked it.
I loved it. The only thing I was disappointed in, it wasn't even about the match quality. It was just that when Kofi won, crowd was excited. Well, I don't know about excited, but they were like, yay, but not like some of the other pops that we heard when Becky won earlier, when Bayley won her championship match. So I was a little disappointed from the reaction when he won, but overall, a kick-ass match, and hopefully this is a sign of what Kofi can do as a single star if they ever decide to just push him as that without the New Day.
Kofi can do Kingston.
Well, hopefully Randy doesn't fuck it up for him this time.
Oh, that's coming. And
Well,
I can't wait. I cannot wait for the Extreme Rules or SummerSlam or whatever, where we're talking about Randy Orton dropping Kofi with an RKO, just because it's going to ruffle so many feathers in a non-Lars Sullivan way. It's going to be just like proper heat, and Randy can be champion whenever he wants. And listen, at this rate, Charlotte's going to be a 15-time champion before Randy is. So, like, I'm sure Randy's going to be the one to spoil the party.
Well, at this rate, Charlotte's going to be a 16-time world champion by, like, this time next year.
Yeah.
She's had, 3 title changes over the past 9 months or something?
9 months. She's had 3 title changes over the past, 2. When did she win the SmackDown title before?
Well, she won the SmackDown. She's had 2 title changes since this year. But didn't she have, she held the title.
And then she won it
last year.
Oh, yeah, she lost it in September. So, in the last 6 months, she's had 3 title changes.
Same, she could have won all these titles before her brother died. Probably made more. I'm sorry, I need to do it. I'll stop.
Right. What are you doing, man?
I don't know.
Well, we had the...
All right. I got this one, Tony. I got the perfect segue. You want to talk about things dying? Let's talk about Tony's sanity dying. Because who is Mr. Money in the Bank, guys?
Well, before I even talk about that, I want to talk about how I really liked this match. All the way up until the end. Like...
The ladder match?
The men's Money in the Bank ladder match, I thought, was going into this, I was like, all right, well, that's going to be better than the women's. And I think that they were kind of on par with each other. I really like the women's quite a bit. So I don't know which one I would go with as being the better one, but there were good spots in this that I liked a whole lot. Like, in particular, Andrade doing that sunset flip powerbomb on Finn Balor, and Balor bouncing up like he's a fucking bouncy ball or something. Yeah. That was fucked up, and I really liked that a lot. Ali hits that C4, jumps off the ladder and does that. There's the spot of pulling down McIntyre into an RKO. Ricochet gets thrown over the top rope and falls through a ladder. That's some good shit.
I also like the false finishes, specifically with the final 2, which were Baron Corbin and Ali. Because regardless of who won, I would have never guessed that the last guy standing on that ladder would have been Ali. And
last, but
well, I mean, before the winner knocked him over. I've mentioned this person a couple times on this podcast, but I feel like with what I'm about to say, Callum might physically reach through whatever he's listening on and strangle me. But credit to Michael Cole. He was overselling the shit out of all of the moves, and it really made it seem like all these guys were trying so hard for the opportunity to become world champion.
Yeah, I think at one point he had said something like, "What is wrong with all these guys?" or something.
Yeah,
It's
he was like,
that's a good way to look at it.
How are they still standing? Why are they still standing? Like, what is wrong with these guys? That was good commentary by Michael Cole.
It's awesome because there's only been like 2 instances where someone didn't passion. Everyone should be taking this as serious as they fucking can. It's an almost guarantee a fucking WWE game. I complained about in the Facebook group Mega Maniacs early on about how commentary was pissing me off tonight because Corey Graves usually pisses me off because him and Renee Young piss me off because they're just a younger sister and older brother arguing with each other and it's annoying to listen to on commentary. But this match in particular, it didn't really bug me so much, and that's probably because Michael Cole is such a fucking professional.
Well, then it happened.
Oh, what?
What happened, Tony? Tell us.
Paul Heyman came out and won the championship, so that was exciting.
I'd have been more into that. But Brock Lesnar is our Mr. Money in the Bank, which means a couple things. It means Brock Lesnar is going to be champion again, because you know he's not going to lose his cash in. It means there are only 2 ways that it goes down as far as like when is he going to cash in, which is either he cashes in and fights Seth Rollins for Super Showdown. I highly, highly doubt that's the case. Or he keeps that Money in the Bank and they just linger this on until we get closer to the Fox deal. There's actually a possibility, and I really hate that I even am entertaining this, but there's a possibility that he cashes in something like Tuesday night.
I think he will.
And beats Kofi Kingston and literally holds that title hostage for the next year. But it's inevitable at this point. Brock Lesnar is going into WrestleMania 36 with either the Universal or the WWE Championship.
Tony, I think he's
again.
I think he's going into the biggest pay-per-view ever, bigger than WrestleMania. The most important pay-per-view ever. He's going into that as a fucking world champion.
First of all, Super Showdown is in fact going to be bigger than WrestleMania, and it's going to be incredible. I don't know if you guys knew that, but I said this to you, and as long as they don't just come out on Raw tomorrow and say, "Ladies and gentlemen, my client Brock Lesnar is cashing in his Money in the Bank briefcase at Super Showdown," I'm okay with this. I liked this. More importantly, Brock looked like he was having some fun. For the 10 seconds he was out there, you could see him ear-to-ear grin, jaw-jacking with the other guys like, "Guess who's back, bitch?" And I enjoyed that. I like when Lesnar looks like he's having fun. I don't like when he's just suplex, repeat. I think this can be okay. As long as this has nothing to do with either he's just going to cash it in Saudi Arabia or that horrible, awful, no good, very bad rumor that somehow it's going to be him and Goldberg feuding over a championship again.
Dude, I'll fucking kill myself.
Anything else I'm fine with. Even if
I don't want anything at this point. I am, to put it into context, and I've mentioned this before, especially if you check back with the Crown Jewel rant that I had done. I write up articles all the time for multiple different websites, and it's at a time frame where I gotta write up the same articles all the time about the same type of topics if WWE keeps doing the same thing. Because sometimes when I'm writing a prediction thing, I'm writing up 10 prediction things because it's something like leading up for that whole month. I gotta do, look at Money in the Bank as it is. Now, for eWrestling News, I wrote up who's missing from the card, my predictions of who's going to win, and the Heat Index thing. I did a round table of different questions about that. I'm going to do a review for it. I'm already doing the review for this pay-per-view here. I did the review on Bleacher Report, and I did the review on here. So review-wise alone, that's 4 things reviewing one event. I watched that for like 4 hours, and I do have to do an article a piece for each hour, kind of essentially. And leading up to it, it's ranking the people who can win the Money in the Bank, and then it's articles about, well, when can the Money in the Bank people potentially cash in, and who's going to be champion for Money in the Bank, and who's going to do this and whatever. So Money in the Bank is super fun when it's something to look forward to, because then it could be at any point in time. Let's just say Sami Zayn won this, because even though I didn't think he had a chance to do it, that would have been like, man, at any point Sami Zayn can win. Wouldn't that be kind of cool if he beat Seth Rollins here, or what if he did this, or whatever? And it's something fun to look forward to. Brock Lesnar having this briefcase means he is 100% going to win the title, whichever title it's going to be. And when he holds it, he's just going to do the same thing that he's been doing. And I've written the same exact breakdown of, I'm tired of him holding the titles hostage. I'm tired of every match being a series of F5s and German suplexes. I'm tired of Paul Heyman cutting the exact same promo, because he literally cuts the same promo every single time. It's just the typical catchphrase of, I am the advocate of the blah, 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 same old thing. It's not a prediction, it's a spoiler. Challenger X is really great, but he is not going to be somebody who is going to beat Brock Lesnar, because he is going to be victimized and brutalized and blah, blah, blah. It's the same 5 bullet points every single promo. So we have an entire year now of potentially me having to write articles multiple times a week, multiple times a month, over and over and over again of, when is Brock Lesnar going to win the championship? And when he does, when is he going to lose it? He's going to lose it at fucking WrestleMania 36. That's what's going to happen. And he's going to lose it to Roman Reigns, because he's probably going to beat Kofi Kingston, because they're going to reach a point where they're going to realize, well, we don't really like the idea of Kofi being champion. He's not going to build it up enough when we go to Fox. Fox wants Brock Lesnar. He's going to be the champion. So he's either going to win it very soon or too soon and just fuck off. And when we get into the October switch, he's going to be already champion. Or he's going to win it very quickly around October and hold it until WrestleMania. And even if it's just like October 1st he wins it and he loses it the day of WrestleMania, that's still all of October, all of November, all of December, all of January, all of February, all of March. 6 months of me dealing with, well, when is he going to lose it at WrestleMania? And who's he going to lose it to? Look at that. It's Roman Reigns over here. And we're getting the 3rd WrestleMania match between them, let alone all the ones that happened at Greatest Royal Rumble and at SummerSlam. And I'm just so fucking over it that this means literally nothing positive to me. There's no way that this works out that I'm happy about. Unless, and this is the one and only way, and I'm putting it out there that it's not going to happen, but it's the only way that this works. Brock Lesnar loses that Money in the Bank briefcase tomorrow night.
Oh, dude. So you want, when you were doing your long spiel about why you think Brock Lesnar is going to, make WWE go bankrupt, I actually had a brilliant idea came to mind. What if tomorrow on Raw, what if Sami Zayn gets... No, dude, let me talk. What if Sami Zayn gets it? Built up...
There's no way.
No, it's pretty simple, Strowman's pretty pissed off because he didn't get his hands on Sami Zayn, apparently. So what if they did something where it's a triple threat match between Sami Zayn, Brock Lesnar, and Braun Strowman, and Sami Zayn just miraculously gets it somehow?
No, it's just going to be that Brock Lesnar has the Money in the Bank and he's a looming threat until when they decide that
Tony,
they want him to win the title.
Negative Nancy. Just let me have my moment.
Well, I get that we're being funny, but it's like, it is concerning that Brock Lesnar's never there, and that's the only reason why I say that this briefcase might actually be fun. Because it's not like he's not holding the title hostage. He's got this thing that basically says what we already know about him. When I walk into an arena, I can just walk out with the title. So you walk away like, at least this plays into his strengths. He doesn't have many of them, but this plays into them.
But do you want to see anything that comes out of this? Like, do you really want Brock holding either championship heading into WrestleMania in Tampa?
Heading into Mania, no. But if he was to, like, let's say, I just figured out when they're going to do it. The first SmackDown on Fox.
Yeah, that's probably why. They like that's the whole thing. Is like Fox wants Brock Lesnar, and I have to also make this argument too. If they do this like cash in way in advance because they think that this is going to be like a TV thing, like Brock as champion is going to get people to tune in, he doesn't show up. So Brock as champion is not going to fix the ratings unless Brock is there every single week.
If I've been making plans with a few people to go to WrestleMania next year, and we're still talking about it. But I'm gonna keep it real with you, Chief. If we're getting to like October and Brock Lesnar gets that title before tickets go on sale, I am not gonna buy a ticket to WrestleMania to see Lesnar versus Reigns. Or
I'm in the
Lesnar
exact same
versus
situation.
Anyone. I refuse. I've seen that match too many times already. I've seen him, him, Reigns, and Strowman. I've seen too many combinations of those three. I personally would have been happy going into next Mania if we just focus on new people, which I know with Vince McMahon, it's never going to happen. And I said in the Mega Maniacs that Brock Lesnar winning this title almost made me an AEW mark as a joke. But it is as someone who wants to see AEW succeed, but I'm gonna let it take its time, let it do its thing, not just put all my chips in right away. I'm not gonna go all in, as some people would say. I'm gonna, however, kind of want to now. It's disappointing when a title, it's the Money in the Bank briefcase is a title. They gave the title to someone who could give the title whenever he wants. It's like giving it to Reigns at this point. They don't need it, and the fact that they did it, it just shows a lack of trust they have for literally everyone else in that company. And if I was Randy Orton in that match, I'm not going to get mad. He's like a 12-time world champion. But if I'm Ricochet, if I'm Ali, if I'm Finn Balor, if I'm any of those guys, and Lesnar just comes out, walks up the ladder after everyone else works their asses off and wins the belt, I'd be pissed off not in the sense of it's a work in WWE and they're supposed to be pissed off. I'd be pissed off that it shows that Vince doesn't believe in their worth as people in the company, and they only care about 3 or 4 people. All this stuff we already know ahead of time, but it's just disappointing that just when the realization of it plays out in front of your eyes.
See, I think I am 100% numb to them not giving a fuck about their everyday main roster talent, because there would have been a time where I would scream until I'm blue in the face about how unfair it is that, and I'm going back here, this is why I'm going to say his name, CM Punk's on the roster, but they have, but they have Rock and Cena in the main event. But I'm well adjusted, like the person in the abused relationship, and I know this is the way they think. So I'm gonna say this once, 100% serious. If it happens, it happens. If not, oh well. Brock Lesnar cashes in on whomever the first SmackDown on Fox. This leads to Brock versus Rock for the title at the Rumble. Rock fights Reigns at WrestleMania.
Do you think Rock wins the title?
Maybe one.
There's a couple things to unpack with that. I want to go back to what Drew said about WrestleMania. I'm in the exact same boat. I wanted to go to WrestleMania in MetLife, and I wasn't able to get tickets. And I was thinking about not going anyway because Brock Lesnar was the champion. That was literally like the main reason why I thought about not going. I didn't end up getting tickets, and I thought to myself, all right, well, there goes that. And I've been talking about potentially going to WrestleMania this next year. And I was like, that could be a lot of fun. I can go to Florida. I can have some fun, like vacation-wise, maybe, certainly. Doubt it, but, whatever. And I was looking forward to it. And then now that this is happening, now I'm like, all right, well, now I got to go tell Caroline that I don't want to go to WrestleMania.
Well, hold
Because
on.
I don't want to go. It doesn't matter what the rest of the card is. I'm going to be working my ass off doing the same goddamn articles all the time, cutting the same stupid podcast stuff about how much I hate WWE is. And it's not just, well, that one show is going to be bad. No, it's going to be, now it's May. It's going to be an entire year building up to this of me having to deal with this whole looming Brock Lesnar threat type thing and all these discussions about when is he going to be the champion and when is this happening and all that. And people asking the question and people wanting me to write articles about it and stuff about this idea that, like, well, Brock can fix the ratings and Brock can do this. And I want to ask everybody again, drop a comment below if you agree with this or whatever, or disagree. If you are of the opinion that Brock Lesnar is a big star and he can fix the ratings, how is he going to fix the ratings if he isn't showing up? People are going to not want to tune in if he's not showing up. And when you advertise once every 3 months that he's going to show up on that one episode of Raw, you'll get a bump for that one episode of Raw. But you can do that without putting a title on him. And that means even 9 months from now with Money in the Bank and he cashes in, he doesn't ever need a championship if he's that big of a deal. Because people reach a point where they are beyond needing the championship. That's why we don't give a title to Undertaker and have him fuck off for 9 months. If you feel like, well, Brock is the only person who can get that kind of a jump because nobody else is a big enough star and you should blame the other people on not being big enough stars, how can they be big stars if you treat them like they do not matter in comparison to somebody like a Brock Lesnar? Everybody who watches this, young or old, knows that WWE views Brock Lesnar as bigger and more important and a better asset than anybody else that's on the roster.
Can I tell you something crazy about that? Outside of WWE, Brock Lesnar isn't shit now.
Yep.
This is a 2012 or 13. No one gives a
Right.
shit about Brock
Yep.
Lesnar anymore, especially after the bullshit he pulled at UFC 200. No one respects him in the UFC anymore. All the fans he probably did have then don't give a fuck about him now. He doesn't have that same name draw.
They never did.
Dude, think about this. Vince McMahon probably paid him $500K to show up and do what he did tonight. That's fucking bullshit. It's so bullshit. And the fact that, everything's going to happen for the sole purpose of he's going to help with the rating when it won't, because WWE has not built up a single star since I don't even know if you want to call John Cena a star, because he's probably going to do better outside of wrestling than he did in it if he has a decent movie career. But they haven't made a single person other than John Cena since The Rock and Batista, I guess, who's been able to transcend outside of WWE and be a popular icon. And the fact that they rely on someone who never wanted to be in the company in the first place longer than 2 years as the person they want to rely on to bring in ratings is so fucking stupid.
And also, if you are in a time frame where you are saying, damn it, why are our ratings suffering? Why are people having this bad morale? And why is all this happening? And literally everybody keeps telling you, just listen to the customer. And you keep doing, well, it can't be that. It has to be this idea. It has to be whatever. It has to be this. It has to be whatever idea that I've got today and all that. It cannot be that I need to listen to my viewers.
It's funny.
When are you going to learn?
It's funny you brought that up. This reminds me of Kitchen Nightmare. Whenever Gordon Ramsay just berates the owners for their lack of caring or understanding, it reminds me of that in so many ways.
I mean, if somebody likes something, you give them more of it. If somebody doesn't like something, you stop trying to shove it down their throat. It's simple. And check the ratings of the segments. See what people like. If somebody tunes in every time that there's supposed to be an advertisement of the KO show, push Kevin Owens. If every time that you have, I don't know, every time that Tony Nese comes out on 205 Live, then the ratings on 205 Live go down. It's not the same type of ratings, but you know what I mean. Like, then you know that he's not a strong champion, so you switch it to somebody else. If every time that Natalya comes out, ratings skyrocket, push Natalya. It's just like, it's simple shit. I highly doubt that after years at this point, not months, not weeks, years of people bitching and bitching and bitching and bitching online about Brock Lesnar being this top guy and doing all this kind of stuff and not changing up his character and not wrestling better matches. Because if he came out and he wrestled every match the way that he wrestles the Finn Balor and AJ Styles matches, then wouldn't be as big of a deal. And if he came out weekly and he did that, or he came out at least monthly and did that, people wouldn't be complaining.
I gotta say, him not doing that in the matches without those two, that's not his fault. That's just how Vince books him. If Vince decided
that's not his fault at all.
If Brock Lesnar, people, before he got roided up and went to UFC, he did do roids. People can act like he didn't. He did. Trust me. That guy was one of the most athletic people in the company. He could do so much. And he's one of the few natural talents that they've been able to get since like Kurt Angle could transition so fluently and so well. It's so disappointing that they rely on his stupid fucking shit that they do now. Honestly, the only thing that I would hope for if Brock Lesnar did hold the title, it won't happen because Matt Riddle probably won't come up anytime soon. I would love a match between those two.
Yeah, you know what's going to happen? If he retires at WrestleMania, like one of the rumors is, he's going to win that title around the October whole switch, or maybe even earlier than that, maybe because they want him to be the champion going into that or something, I don't know. And he's going to just bullshit around, and he's going to fight Braun Strowman at another pay-per-view. He's going to fight whoever the fuck on whatever pay-per-view, and they're going to do this, and they're going to, you know, play around a little bit. And then he's going to fight either The Rock at WrestleMania or Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. And if that's his final match, he loses. And if it isn't his final match, then maybe he loses, maybe he wins, whatever. And it's just going to be the whole cycle again of the same thing. And there's nobody other than those two that he would end up fighting. And I have no interest in seeing another Reigns match. And I've never had any interest in seeing The Rock past his prime against Brock Lesnar, who doesn't give a shit. And it's just like, all right, all you did on this Money in the Bank at the end of this night, you could have gone with Ali, and I would have been interested. I would have been like, wow, okay, they're going with Ali. Didn't see that coming. Could have gone with Andrade, and I would have been like, okay, cool, this guy's going to win the championship from Kofi at some point in the next couple of months. Could have gone with Baron Corbin, and I'm very much in the minority here, but I would have been like, you know, it's kind of interesting. They're going to cash in on that, and they're going to do that, and he's probably going to lose the cash in again, whatever. Could have gone with Drew McIntyre. He probably would have, but, I mean, that's neither here nor there. Drew McIntyre, cool. Finn Balor, very cool. Randy Orton, fan of the guy. Ricochet, fucking awesome. Sami Zayn, very cool. Braun Strowman, awesome. Bray Wyatt could have came out. Bobby Lashley could have came out. They could have done a lot of these things, and I would have ended up either confused and happy, confused and speculative towards the future, or super happy.
You know, I'm going to throw this name out there. Same scenario exactly, except Baron Corbin at the top of the ladder, and it's John Cena's music. Better or worse?
Better.
It's
better because John Cena and quality match.
It's better because John Cena hasn't beaten down that same let's do the one thing and only the one thing path the way that Brock Lesnar has. Like, at least Cena's promos are different. And Cena's not around all that much, which that sucks, and that's kind of equal. But at the same time, John Cena coming back and doing something like that has the potential to be a better match, too.
Okay.
And it's something different. Maybe, you know, John Cena versus lots of different people on the roster is something I haven't seen before. Brock has like 4 people that he hasn't had a match with, and they don't seem to be willing to do it. Like, even when they do the matches, like, if he does a match with Bobby Lashley, he's a heel, I don't care, and it's not going to work out, and Brock Lesnar's going to win. It's the same shit all the time.
If Lesnar was like the surprise entrant, like at the very beginning of the match, like right before they ring the bell, you hear his music, he comes out and he was part of the entire match, and then he won, I would have been fine with it. Probably,
I still would have hated it.
I would have hated it, yeah, but I would have been fine with it. And that, well, at least he earned it. But I don't know. It's just so fucking stupid when someone comes out after like it's almost borderline TNA booking the way that it did it. Like this is like Hulk Hogan in like 2011. Like this is something that they would probably do to like get the fucking point across. So I don't know.
It's trolling is what WWE is doing. They think that by getting people pissed off about what they're doing, that they're getting heat and that people are going to tune in. Because they know that Brock Lesnar pisses people off with this. So they're going like, hey, that's funny. But people will get real riled up with this. And it's like, okay, well, you're trying to have characters that are bad guys and good guys. And the bad guys are supposed to get the audience to want to see them lose to the good guys. It's not the same thing as saying, we as a company are actively trying to piss you off. And I think that they don't realize that, you know?
If Lesnar and Reigns have a match for the title at some point, like, why should I care about that match? Because Reigns never been able to beat him at any other point.
That's not true. He beat him at SummerSlam.
That's true. My bad. I forgot about it. That's the Universal title, though.
Listen,
By the
point
way,
is...
Let me say this real quick because I just come across this and I think that this is hilarious. Chris Jericho tweeted out, awesome to see Brock Lesnar win the Money in the Bank match, even though he wasn't officially entered. Brock is the future of the biz, and this perfect example of genius booking shows why WWE will remain on the top forever. # go Brock go.
Did Jericho really?
Yeah, Jericho's a grade A dick. He knows how to do this. He knows exactly what he's doing.
He probably still has heat with Lesnar after the 2017, or is that the 2016 Rumble? Or no, the 2016 SummerSlam between Lesnar and Orton.
It's 2016, but no, it's Jericho being smart. He's 6 days away, 5 now, from being a part of a brand new promotion that's supposed to spotlight the future. So this is the perfect time for him to jump all over that. I will say they do seem like everything tonight was impactful. You know what I mean? Everything tonight had Bayley won the title. Brock won the briefcase out of nowhere. Give me the new title thing. They seem like they're in the midst of another major change, and it could be really great. I don't think this Brock thing will lead to anything great. I think it'll just lead to a marquee matchup for them. But I think people are also over the marquee matchup. Like, Lesnar was super over when he came in 2012. Super over when he was teasing leaving the first time in 2015. He's stale now. It's past his prime. And whatever good they were going to get out of him, I think they got it. I don't think going back to this well is good. Even if they had him under contract, do this next year. Keep him away for a year, and then at next year's Money in the Bank, oh shit, it's Brock Lesnar after a year. Do that.
I can't even look forward to something like the idea that if somebody might put it out there, they might be like, well, what if Brock doesn't cash in until like January? I can't even look forward to that because I still know that I'm going to be commissioned to have to write articles for the next year about what if Brock is going to do this.
The only good thing about Lesnar holding that title, if we didn't know everything about Brock Lesnar that we already know, is that he's probably one of the only guys who doesn't need to cash in at the most opportune time. Literally could just show up, beat the shit out of someone, and then cash it in. And that could happen literally at any time because he doesn't show up every week. However, it's pretty predictable when they possibly will have him cash it in. So that takes the fun out of it to an extent.
The interesting thing about
I'm
this...
just looking at this as like literally the only way I'm going to feel better about this is tomorrow night. He just tries to cash in and fails.
Look, if Sami Zayn walks out tomorrow with that Money in the Bank briefcase, I just want some respect on my name, okay?
I see. I don't even like the idea of him losing because they have made too much of a joke out of the briefcase. When's the last time that it was like a really good build-up to a really good cash-in? It was probably,
Seth?
in my opinion, Rollins.
Yeah.
But you know what, though? That's the lesser of two evils to me. If you're giving me this idea that I'm going to spend an entire year building up articles about the same exact topic that I hate, or he just loses it and the Money in the Bank briefcase is nothing this year, then give me that break, you know?
Actually, I'll lie. I actually like Mella's cash in and her run with the belt or with the briefcase only because I love Mella so
Yeah,
much.
but I'm not counting.
I know what you
I'm
mean.
not talking about the women right now.
I'm just being devil's advocate. I get you, man.
Yeah, and would you take my horrible situation, which is the one I don't want, where it's just a catalyst for a match at Super Showdown, as long as he loses and you don't have to worry about him being champion?
Yeah, I'll take that. That would be like the second best option. Is he comes out tomorrow night with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman cuts the same goddamn stupid promo, which I love fucking Paul Heyman. So that's what I hate saying, that kind of stuff. Paul Heyman is so good, yet they only want him to do the same promo every single time. And he just says like, "Hey, now that we have the Money in the Bank, we are cashing in at the event that is apparently going to be better than WrestleMania." Which at this point, with the way that you're booking WrestleMania 36 already, I can see why that's the case. And he says, "We are fighting Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship, and we're cashing in." And you do that, and Seth Rollins retains. Fuck it, have it be a 30-second match, and he wins by DQ or something like that. Just Brock loses the ability to do that, and there's no, when is he going to win the championship over the next year? And then you don't have him fight for the championship at WrestleMania, and you don't do any of that. Like, just that, the only way I'm going to be happy with this is as soon as possible they rule out the idea that we're going to ever have to worry about this. And it's not going to happen. So I'm going to spend the next bunch of months dealing with this bullshit, which I'm instituting something that I'm not sure what I'm going to call it right now, but I'm putting it forward. Maybe I'll call it like the Brock Lesnar rule or something like that. I'm just not going to talk about it. So if it comes down to something like we're talking about, well, what if the Money in the Bank, whatever, I'm probably just going to go like Brock Lesnar rule and move on to the next topic. Because I can't deal with this anymore.
What if he's officially champion? Are we still instituting Brock Lesnar rule?
Oh, yeah.
I will.
I mean, I'm dead serious about this too. Like, podcast wise, like if he wins the championship at Super Showdown and he's champion for the next year, your review for Universal Championship matches and the predictions and stuff is going to be Brock Lesnar's defending the Universal Championship, because this is only going to happen like 4 times too, against Finn Balor. Brock Lesnar rule. All right, so the next thing is going to be I just do not want to do it.
Look, Tony's underselling this a little bit. You remember after the second Saudi Arabia show where he said that he might stop watching wrestling altogether for a bit?
Well, Crown Jewel was bad, though.
I know.
It was really, really, really bad.
It was pretty bad.
The only reason I have continued to watch is literally because I get paid to like do this. If this wasn't my job, if this was just like a passion, I would have stopped years ago.
Oh, guys, the good news is if Lesnar wins the title before Survivor Series, you are at least guaranteed one good match with the Universal Champion. If it's like Seth Rollins, like that.
Well, see, there's not much more to say. I will say that I'm excited for tomorrow night because I'm really looking forward to the new championship, as long as they don't announce it's a fucking Legends title. And as far as
topics
Lesnar,
Eh.
like that, I'm totally cool with discussing in the future and stuff, but the Brock Lesnar rules, the Brock Lesnar
You know what
rule.
they should listen? If it's a Legends title, I would 100% be fine if they did an open battle royal with Legends. That's
no,
why not?
Man.
It's just for the shits and giggles.
Fuck
why
it,
not?
dude, make a hardcore title.
Oh, of course. Well, how hardcore can you make a hardcore title in the PG era, though, man?
But it doesn't matter. It's as long as
It does
a
matter a little
24/7
bit.
title. You don't need to bleed. Like as long as it's a 24/7 title, I think we're good.
Look, if you just called it this the wild card championship and like the whole like the stipulation of it like you mentioned before is just 24-hour rule and it's on either show and you kind of brought up the social media aspect of it. people complain about the ratings going down, and I do agree
Social
that that
media is
is.
so fucking hot.
It is.
Their
Social
their
media is
their
huge.
YouTube
YouTube
numbers
is
are
huge.
amazing.
Yeah, people will complain about the ratings. The ratings aren't as big of a deal to me because ratings across the board altogether on all shows have been going down for years because of DVR, social media, and there's so many other forms of entertainment and other ways to get it that you don't have to sit down for 3 or 4 fucking hours on Monday, Tuesday, or Sunday to get it. You could get it, like you say, on YouTube, on social media. So many freaking possibilities that they could do with something like that if they do to go down that route. And they need to take advantage of it. It's so fucking shocking that they don't do more with Twitter when it comes to wrestling matches or doing like something along the lines with the championship with it. Like the internet championship in 2012 might not have sounded like a good idea. In 2019 would be interesting and they could pull it off to an extent.
Well, we've talked for way too long about championships and Brock Lesnar. That won't affect us for a while. Money in the Bank overall was a pretty decent show. I didn't hate it. After this conversation, I've grown to hate the ending. So cool. That worked.
All the more reason why the Brock Lesnar rule is not just good for me, but it's good for everybody else. Because do you really want to listen to every podcast going forward is the same discussion about how much I fucking hate Brock Lesnar's whole booking situation? And again, just to reiterate, because we will Brock Lesnar rule things in the future, and I don't want to repeat myself, I don't have a problem with Brock Lesnar. I have a problem with Brock Lesnar's booking.
And I made a joke out of it, but I did have a huge problem with this show, constantly promoting the Saudi Arabian show, saying it's bigger than Mania. That is probably my biggest gripe with this show.
Well, listen, this is the biggest match that's never happened before, man. Undertaker and Goldberg, people have been clamoring for this match since like the 80s, dude.
Since the 80s. Well, yeah, this was Money in the Bank, and I have to say it was about 75% awesome, about 10%, that was okay, and then the other part was just like, God, my God, this is fucking awful. And I don't know where that really ranks as far as like comparing to, you know, best and worst pay-per-views of the year, but we'll see.
You know what else would have worked? Just one thing. They should have taken out Ricochet or Ali. Just because when you take out Sami Zayn, it's like, oh, so a babyface did this because Zayn's a prick? You know? Just food for thought.
Yeah, I feel what you mean.
Either way, we know what we're getting going forward, so I guess we just gotta strap in and fucking take it. And that sounds a lot worse than
God, dude, that's what Lesnar says disable, that's for sure. You just gotta strap in and take it.
So, any other thoughts you guys have on Money in the Bank 2019?
I will say that if it wasn't for that main event, or just the ending of the main event, this probably would have been better than Mania for me, just from the highlights. There were some very big moments. I didn't get a chance to talk about it too much. The fact that Bayley won the WWE SmackDown's Women's Champion earlier in the night made my night for me just because she has always been my favorite of the 4 horsewomen, which is very, very, very unpopular opinion to have, especially now in 2019. But I'm always going to feel that way. I love her. It just made me happy to see that she did win after, I don't know, having to put up with Sasha for so long.
Whoa, come on, guy.
I'm just messing with you. Well, to be fair, Becky used to be my least favorite, but now it's Sasha. But that's just because Becky is a champ and she's the man and she's kind of cool. But
there are a lot of good things that were on this card, and it's a shame that they finished it in a way that's so like, I don't know, disabling of all those good things.
They finished the show in a way that would piss people off. It's really fucking stupid to do that.
Yeah. Usually, you remember we used to be in an era where it was like, send the people home happy?
Well, no, that's after the show goes off.
Yeah, we don't get to see that part.
Well, if you were the type of person who watched Game of Thrones instead, I've never seen a single Game of Thrones episode in my life, but as much as I keep hearing that everything's awful, here's hoping that you didn't get a bad situation.
To compare Game of Thrones to tonight's episode of Money in the Bank, up until that very last part was like the first 7 seasons. Then as soon as Brock Lesnar came out, season 8.
Yeah, it seems like that, but
Ember Moon is hot. That's my
Hey,
takeaway for
that's
this.
hey, look, oh, damn it, I didn't get to
That's
think about
you
Mandy
want a
Rose earlier.
takeaway, you want a positive takeaway. That was Ember Moon is a hot lady.
You know, we didn't get to talk about Nikki Cross too much, but she's okay.
I'll talk about all that a lot more when we get into practically. Oh, goddamn, we're not
Next
that far away off from the Sexy Superstar tournament. We're not all that far off from it, so I got to do some work on that. That'll happen sometime in the summer, so we'll figure that out. But yeah, Money in the Bank 2019, some good stuff, some bad stuff, some great stuff, some horrible stuff, and some other shit in the middle of that. That's kind of 50-50. So I want to know what you all have to say. Drop a comment below on YouTube, and if you're doing that, hit that little bell under the subscription, and you will be aware of the next couple of things that we have coming your way when you get those email alerts. We've got Double or Nothing coming up next week, so we're going to do our predictions, and then the pay-per-view results podcast that follows that. And after that, we're going to be getting into the mailbag and the NXT TakeOver 25 predictions.
Oh yeah.
Then after that, we're doing our Super Showdown predictions and stuff, and then we'll eventually have a blank week, hopefully, unless they change something else around or whatever. So you got plenty of things to look forward to on the Pay-Per-Viewpoint side of things. If you want to be interested in all the other things that are happening on smarkoutmoment.com, go to the site, because that's why websites exist, and you will find all the weekly articles and everything else that's happening over there. While you're over there, you might want to click on our merch shops. They are on Redbubble and TeePublic. You can buy some t-shirts and some stickers and bags and clocks and whatever the hell else that they got going on there. And if you want to throw some spare change our way in a different kind of fashion, there is the Patreon. So go to the Smark Out Moment one there for that. Or you can do the same thing when it comes to Fanboys Anonymous, because there is a Patreon for fanboys. There is a TeePublic. There is a Redbubble. There is a YouTube channel. There are articles on there. Most recent one that I put up was a review for Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But I've got stuff that I'm trying to cook it up. That's not how you fucking use that word. That I'm cooking up to try to write up about more things on Avengers and on Pokemon. And I binge watched every episode of Lucifer Season 4 if you want to check out my thoughts of every episode that went down there. And another thing of 6 Flicks picks will end up coming up soon. So plenty of stuff on Fanboys. Go check that stuff out there. Follow me on my other accounts. All the things at Tony Mango and A Mango Tree. Go to eWrestling News. Go to Bleacher Report. Blah, 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 blah. You guys know the score by now. Just kind of keep staying tuned and keep following us. And all that stuff will be greatly appreciated. So I'm going to pass the baton around here. Drew?
Well, if you love the inconsistency that WWE puts up and you want to see it from me as well, you can go to my Twitter page where I will make some tweets that will make you laugh or you'll cringe, and I'll get really disappointed by the lack of respect. Again, I'll delete them as results. But if you're not into that kind of stuff, you can go to Mick Frickin' Duncan on YouTube, where you will see the inconsistency of someone who will talk about posting stuff on there. I might not, but I probably will someday. I've only been talking about it for like 5 years now. But hey, the good news is, if anyone does care, there's a little Instagram page coming out soon. A dog, if you love dogs, that'll be up. Pictures of that. So next time I'm on, I'll probably have a handle. That's all.
Rob?
All right. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DudeFelice. You know the score. Check out eWrestling News. Got a ton of stuff coming this week, guys. It's StarCast week. It's Double or Nothing week. I did an interview with Davey Boy Smith Jr. where he talks about everything from Owen Hart not being in the Hall of Fame to Jim Cornette to why he may be going to AEW. That'll be up later in the week. Keep an eye out on all my socials and eWrestlingNews.com for all that. Go to TimekillerApparel.com. Nobody does, but you should, because it puts money in my pocket. Okay? Like, that's why you should go there. Check out 2001 A Wrestling Odyssey, where Callum Wiggins and I, we go back in time to 2001, and we decipher the WWE's beginnings of their monopoly, their 20-year monopoly, which ends this Saturday. And boy, after this conversation, I'm actually really looking forward to it. That's it. Ember Moon was hot.
And as much as I hate the idea of saying WWE left everybody feeling all dour, and that's kind of the way that we're doing this, I will just say thank you. And you are lovely people. Unless you leave like horrible comments, and then you're a real piece of shit. But
we love you. Don't be dour.
Love you for all the support, everybody, and thank you for listening to our 2-hour and 15-minute discussion on Money in the Bank 2019. Drop your comments below, as I mentioned before, and tell us what you thought. Follow us on all the different things we have going on there, and if you're on any of the audio-only things, leave us a review, and just stay tuned for the next thing, which is going to be the hot tags, and hopefully plenty of funky, weird discussion on lots of different things like that. But for now, that's going to be it. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.